Thank you, Ms. Knight.
Okay, we are recording.
Okay.
Okay, Greenwich Township Committee meeting, special budget meeting, Saturday, March 15th.
Yay.
Members present, Bayliss.
Yes.
Milioti. Yes. Adams.
Yes.
Flori.
Here.
Torriello.
Here.
All rise for the flag salute. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act by mailing the schedule of the Township Committee to the Express Times and the North Star Ledger newspaper, posting a copy on the Township Bulletin Board, and filing a copy with the Township Clerk.
Okay, and at this time, I know Jim and Elaine, you guys are going to want to obviously go through all of the line items, but I'd like to open up for public comment. We do have a member of the public here. It's this way, he can comment on whatever he would like to, so he's not stuck here on all day Saturday afternoon. So can we open up for public comment? A motion?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Good
you.
morning.
Gary Hill, Greenwich Township Emergency Squad. Actually, Elaine and Angela were talking about taking care of me first. I didn't know if you wanted to do it during public comment, or if you just want me to, because I'm not sure if you wanted to question me on anything, or...
Well, it's informal, so yeah, I understood, but yeah.
It's a workship.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
real.
Okay, but that's what I kind of thought.
But, yeah, it'll be a two-way conversation, that's fine, so.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but point understood.
Okay, that's it then.
Okay, well, at the last meeting, we requested a audited statement from Gary, and he said he had no problem with an audited statement, but as long as it was at the township expense. And so I said I'd bring that back to the meeting.
Well, I just had an offline conversation with Chuck.
Okay.
Admiring his car. He said you guys do them all every year. He said you do them every year in July timeframe?
What audits?
The audit, yeah.
You're talking about the car, man. How cars do you get every July?
I was there too.
I'll tell you, it was a beautiful car. By the way, thank you for the car.
Thank you.
No problem. It was a police interceptor for, $7 grand, but it's size and thing.
It's actually, it's not a full audit. It's something that I've requested for several years, and it's something that we haven't been able to get done as a result of balking at the expense. Our accountant, Robert Blum in Belvedere, he does a full financial statement for us, reviews all our books, does our 990, does our CRI 300, submits it all to the state. A relatively mediocre charge, so
Okay. And
that works out well.
He does a financial statement.
He does a financial statement. We turn that in every year when we ask for our appropriation.
Okay.
That's kind of one of those things that was set up several years ago.
2008 was that.
Yep.
And it's-
Can we get back to you on this request? We are unclear as to whether or not that would meet the audit, the
Yeah.
New Jersey State Ordinance statute that requires you to do this in order to get funding.
Oh, yeah.
If we do that, and your request is that we would pay for it, it might come out of the stipend, because we have to figure out how this particular audit, if it has to be paid for by the squad through the auditor. I mean, there's different requirements.
I just, basically, what I did was when I researched it, I'm sorry, I kind of mentioned the statute, of course, I Googled it, looked at it, made sure that, one of the things that was always questioning is whether or not we were in the correct dollar amount. Some were saying, oh, we're not even supposed to be getting that much, because it used to be $25,000. Well, that was modified in 2007 to be up to $90,000, and that's when I stumbled across the phrase where it said about the audit. And it said, the county or the municipality CFO is responsible for the audit. And that's what kind of caught my attention. So then I looked for additional addendums to that statute. I didn't see any, but granted, I didn't put that much effort into it. I'm sure you probably might know off the top of your head, there was more amendments in 2007?
I don't know, I haven't.
Okay.
No, really, the only one who would know would be the auditor. So
Okay.
we'll ask him that question.
But that's what I said, right off the bat. I said, God forbid I question Morrison, because he's an auditor. I know what I know. I'm not,
Yeah,
so
no.
that's what I stumbled across, and I just thought, all right, well, because I'm representing the squad, I'm supposed to be looking out for their best interests. It says in the statute it's supposed to be the county or municipality, then I should ask for it.
And I don't recall up to $90,000 being authorized here at Greenwich. I thought we were up to, yeah,
No, not us.
No, he's just citing,
maximum from the ordinance that you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
Correct. But auditor was really saying any contribution
Yep.
from the township. Now, have we been following that? No, we've got your reports, and we thought that was sufficient.
Sufficient,
Let me ask him if it's sufficient. If it's not sufficient, then we talk about another, we have another discussion. Okay?
Can we get a copy,
But it
Elaine,
does-
of the, of last year's financial
Yeah,
statement?
can we get a copy of that was submitted for me? You submitted it, right? Or
oh, yeah.
can you, yeah, okay.
Okay, might have 2 copies there, I guess, maybe twice. So I wasn't sure if it didn't get to you or not, but,
If it didn't get to the rating, then can you please get it?
just,
You know what, Gary, it's better if you send it electronically, and this way we can send it to Morrison and have Morrison take a look at it
Yeah.
and do a topical review and say, yes, it meets, no, it doesn't. How's that?
okay.
That's good.
Yeah, we do that. Just a note that you may not be aware of, when we talk about either cutting the funding, the percentage of the squad funding, or having the audit funds taken out of that stipend. Something that the squad has done since we've had the municipal loan vehicles. It was a unwritten thing where, you know what, the township was gracious enough to supply us with the vehicles, we can maintain them. Well, over the last several years, they've gotten rather expensive to maintain. So I'd just like to throw that out there as something to consider, that, just in the last 2 years alone, the municipal loan vehicles, we shelled out close to $7,000 in maintenance funding. So,
How many vehicles?
2. The rest of the truck and the primary ambulance, 9852.
When are you looking at replacing them?
We're looking at replacing ours, the one that the squad owns. That research started last year and will probably happen, well, we're actually in March now. They should have already started with a grant process, but the Assistance to Firefighters grant that it falls under is due in July. We didn't get it in time last year. We were supposed to hire a company out this year to help with that because it's such a large grant request. We want to make sure all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted. I'm just waiting for the approval from the squad to pick a firm to do that.
Have you gone out to bid on the firm already?
No,
I mean, it takes a while to get it.
it's my understanding, we're not required to request a bid for that.
You're not.
No, because I'm not a grant guy, so I don't know all, but it's my understanding that it's part of the grant process itself, the funding.
I would double check that, because typically you lay out the money for the grant writer. I don't know that that comes out of the grant itself. The process to obtain the grant, I'm not sure clearly if it comes out of the grant itself. Aaron, do you know?
I guess it could, it depends how the grant's written, who would
Right.
supply.
It should have that included in
Yeah, there's
the...
a grant, some
It
grants
goes
that
that
we
detail.
have do not allow for the grant writing process to come out.
And then the other side of it is, do we need a brand new ambulance, realistically? I mean, we're talking, replacing our 9853, which is 20 years old, that has 34,000 miles on it. Do we really need to buy a brand new vehicle for $142,000? There's used ones out there for, $60,000 and $70,000 with, 50,000 miles on it that, appear to be perfectly fine.
Sort of like
I'm all
the
in
fire
favor of
department
doing
did.
that. Exactly. It doesn't have to be,
Why would you buy a car with more miles
It's
on
nice
it?
to get something brand new, but
Because
financially, it
it's more
doesn't make sense.
a good question.
My
So-
question is, why would we go and buy a used car, a used ambulance with more miles on it?
To save money. Because,
Is it more technically advanced?
Is that,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying, it's
I'm
like,
not saying buy a 20-year-old.
when we went to go buy the fire truck, it met more stringent, fire codes and things like that. There was a,
Yeah,
a
no,
line
it wouldn't be
items that we
a
weren't-
20-year-old ambulance, it would be a 5-year-old ambulance.
got it.
I mean, it just so happens that our vehicles, you know, the 20-year-old vehicle with only 30,000 because we had a very short distance and
Right,
call
right.
line, so.
The other vehicle that you do have, the other ambulance, was paid through the township. As I think I was through that year, the first year, 2003. Keeps laughing. Okay. Is there any other questions from us, Gary?
I don't think so.
It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
So you're going to get me an electronic copy, I'll get it to Morrison, and then we'll go from there and see how this all
I'll
works out.
forward it to Angelo and then Angelo.
And then, Gary, while you're here, I just wanted to wait for everybody to answer financial questions. I sent Chuck an email the other day, if you could just follow up with him regarding content on the webpage. So, tell him whenever, I'm happy to meet with him, and we'll get whatever additional content you want on the webpage, we'll put it on for you.
Okay.
Okay, it was just, when nobody had gotten back to me, I went on the old pages from the old site and pulled out what I thought was the most relevant information to get us started. By no means was there should it be interpreted that that's the only content that can go on there. So we'll work with whatever additional information you want on there, we'll get it on for you.
Is the actual old site, is that just gone now?
Yes, well, no, it's not, you didn't have your own site. It was a page on greenwichtownship.org. So the site is still there, you're looking at it, it's just been updated.
Okay.
So the old look and the old information is gone, but the site is the same, and the link is still there, except it used to be on the left-hand side, now it's up on the upper right where and you just click down on there. So it's a new look and a new feel, but the site is the same. So,
Okay.
anything else?
No, I'm good with that.
Okay. Anything else for us, Gary?
No,
Okay,
no, at this point.
thank you.
I'm actually glad the whole audit thing came up with this. Ever since we lost Zelinski's, we used to be CFOs. When
Yes.
they left the squad, they went, because they was always, assistant treasurer, she signs off on my reports every month, and then at the end of the year, Bill used to go through and
Yep, yeah,
do an
the
in-house
check and
audit.
balance,
And ever
yep.
since he left, I can't get anybody up there to volunteer the time to do it.
Or do they have the expertise?
They may not even have that, yeah.
No, basically, what I was doing was trying to copy over what Bill was doing. He's just basically doing checks and balances.
Oh, okay.
Looking at every transaction and comparing it against the bank statements, things like
Yeah.
that. It's just,
But if he was
Why don't we
certified,
get
then that
everybody?
changes everything. If he was a certified,
well, he was certified, but he's retired, so it's not like
Then
it was a
it doesn't
certified
matter.
audit,
I'm
but it
sure
was
you can
something that
still
made me
do-
feel more comfortable in the
Yeah.
squad, that we had a full audit done,
Uh-huh.
so,
Got it.
a third set of eyes could say, hey, this
Right.
is done.
uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, I do have a question. The building and ground improvements, what was the significant improvements last year, I guess?
Back in 2007, 2006 actually, we completed a $150,000 improvement to the building. Basically, the whole, if you're looking at the front of the building, the whole left side of the building inside was gutted from the concrete up. And when we did that, towards the end, when we saw how much it was starting to cost, somebody got cheap, and we never updated any of the cabinets or the floor. We still have the gray concrete floor. It's supposed to be coated and have a nice appearance to it. And to this day, I walk in there and I look at it and I say, $150,000 and I got the concrete, ugly looking floor, really?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those things that's supposed to be done, so we're supposed to be getting new cabinetry for all the supplies that right now, the doors are being held closed with sticks and, things like that. It's just,
So it was just never done?
exactly. It was
All
never
right.
done. I brought it up a couple years ago, actually 4 years ago, to have it done. And there's always been some other big expense. In 2012, it was the Ford Explorer that we had that was involved in an accident that ended up being totaled that we had to replace. So it was, okay, well, we'll take money from the building improvement funds to cover that cost since it wasn't budgeted. And then last year, the captain's car had a lot of mechanical problems with it. It turns out that we got snowballed on the purchase of it. The vehicle that was supposed to only have 20,000 miles on it had 132,000 miles on it after the police investigation.
Oh,
And so it's turned into a mechanical nightmare. And why we still painted it out, I lost that fight.
And you're working your own insurance claims on the accident card and all that?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, unless it's a rather significant, the squad really we don't want to put insurance claim. For that one there, it was, I think that was the first claim I put in quite a while, just simply because of the little mediocre stuff, we don't want to affect the town's
Right.
insurance rate.
Yeah.
We had that.
We got a $100 deductible, but it's not, usually we wait until it gets to like $1,000 or something before we would consider that because, again, the insurance rate.
mhm.
We're gracious
A
enough to that.
$100 deductible?
Yeah, I think we just got
That still exists today, huh?
Well, you know what? Let me double check that. That does sound a little,
Yeah.
I remember it was a while ago.
Well,
Yeah.
because I know I got some emails on this from the insurance company. Is this our policy that
Yes.
covers them?
Yes.
Okay, so we can look into that.
You know what? I think it's $100 on the equipment, not the vehicle, just the portable equipment stuff
Which vehicle?
for a Robo, the 90-52. That's a commercial auto.
Okay. The liability the liability
You
policy.
did, this is, we submitted the claim back in 2012, that was for the Explorer, that was up around this.
Oh, for the Explorer. Okay, but that's not on our policy.
No,
Okay.
not on the town's policy.
Yeah,
it's on
because the two
squad's
vehicles that
policy.
the town owns, the two squad vehicles,
Yes,
$1,000.
yes.
Mhm. Why do we have two policies?
Because there's township-owned equipment that, like in the fire department, we don't insure all the fire departments. We only insure what we own.
And in the squad's case, we own two, and you own
We own three.
three.
So they have a separate policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, not for me.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Motion to close public comment?
Make the motion.
Second.
Okay.
Aye.
And of course, if there's any other questions, come up while you guys are here, feel free to just reach out to me on my cell phone.
Thanks, Gary.
Otherwise,
Thanks a lot.
Don't forget when you try to call me tomorrow, we're gonna...
I'm looking to the end.
It's under your name, though.
Is it under my name?
No.
No, it isn't. It is. Why do we do that? We should just put, no, it's okay. I could always do what I normally do when we're talking about budgetary issues. And say, now we turn to Committeewoman Emiliani and Committeeman Adams, who have been working diligently with our CFO and auditor on rectifying our financial mess here. So, how we doing?
Well, I want to start out simply. I have a couple one or two questions for Lorraine, and then, Elaine, if you have some, and then we'll get into the discussion of the budget. So, we have some audit adjustments from Bob, and there's four funds. I jotted them down in case they're not in front of you, but I wanted to understand how that...
Meaning the information we had was incorrect. The prior information we had was incorrect?
No, I just want to say at this point, because I haven't seen the full results of the the financial statement, so what I do know is there was four categories of adjustments.
Okay.
So for the trust fund, there's like $1 million type adjustment, and it said DUE, due to current, was $93,658. Can you tell me how that impacts what we're looking at today versus...
Did you say D-U-E?
Due, yes.
Oh,
Due to,
from the general trust?
from the trust fund, due to current. I can show it to you. I would have been more organized this morning, but,
The COA monies are due back from general capital to the trust. That I think is $1,062,000.
No, I think makes sense. Can we just change, can we move that up here so I'm looking at it and I can monitor it? If it goes off, and just tell me what I'm looking for and then go. She wants to go do work. She doesn't need to. I can monitor the equipment. Yeah. So as long as it, but you're right, Ken.
Yeah, that, I don't know what that is. I mean, that could just be, you see?
Yeah.
The only figure that's close to that would be. Oh, you're gonna watch this.
Okay, yeah,
Oh, yeah, this is going.
we're good.
What if it's not going?
Then I call you.
Yeah, because it's not taking out giveaways, and it'll go.
What would you do if they weren't going?
We'll call her. I'll just stop her. Yeah, she's not going. She's going to her office.
Oh, all right. Oh, I thought you were going.
Or if you need to ask me a question or
Yep.
voting on something.
Very good. Thank you.
I can tell you the tax rate, I can tell you the levy had to go to last year's rate comes up. Are you interested in the tax rate, or are you interested in the current?
That's nice. She's so cute.
Conversation, come on, you two.
It's adorable.
What I did do, I just changed this name, thinking that I would just hold it for myself, because everybody would have a copy of it. Previously, you asked to reduce the tax rate to 2 cents. What I did this morning is kept it flat, just to figure out how much we would need. But I didn't realize how much
No.
He's part of the inner circle. Yeah, you're right, Elaine, you're right. But
based on last year, because I'm happy that was okay. Yeah, I wanted to be sure that you knew that that was for my own.
Oh, that's fine. I haven't even...
I see.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to change your 2 cent increase.
No, that's fine. These are work in process type things. Okay, so for the adjustments, we'll work on them and see how they impact us. And, you know, one of the things is pretty important, because if that 93 is coming into the current, does that reduce our
Gap.
gap?
I don't think that adjustment would necessarily have an impact on the budget. It depends. If it's escrow, then it may. I'm pretty sure that it is escrow, because the prior auditor had me in January said, you never transferred over the money from escrow. I didn't realize I had to physically transfer that money that had been anticipated. I thought having it in the budget was sufficient, but he said, no, you have to physically transfer it. So I put the payment through in January. It physically came out in February. So the current auditor now is saying, no, that doesn't count as a deposit in transit. The prior auditor called it a deposit in transit, saying, okay, it's on the way. But the current auditor is saying it didn't get there fast enough. It's not a deposit in transit, so he wants to take that back. That could be that $93,000 adjustment that he's considering due to.
Okay.
But if that's what it is, just because that number is very similar to what I have in my mind, at least from what was anticipated previously, the 3,580, I think that's the same figure. Is that the figure that shows on that report, Jim, 93,580.35 as due to current?
93,658.
And there could be an adjustment for interest, and all the interest that escrow earns.
Yeah, it sounds close enough.
So, yeah, it could just very well be the amount that he considered not a deposit in transit plus the 2013 interest.
So I thought I heard two things. I thought when you started saying that if it's escrow, we could,
It's going to classify it differently. We're going to get it.
we'll still be able to use it
It'll
this
still be
year.
part of the budget, it's just the way that it's classified in.
Yeah,
It's a different
Or
bucket.
not.
Okay, that's the discrepancy
I
there.
would think so.
I don't think it'll actually have a positive impact on our budget, though, because we already took it as a revenue. I guess it would be his determination as
Okay.
it was.
So how we
If he does
take it.
consider it a deposit in transit and not a revenue from the prior year, that would decrease our revenue and then decrease the amount of surplus that we would have available, so.
Okay,
It'll-
so he's trying to figure out that it could be something that we can use in this budget.
I don't think so, no.
No?
No, because even if he does consider it the latter of the two, then it'll decrease our fund balance and it'll be less money that we'll have to. I think that it'll end up washing out and not act as a positive or a negative to our budget.
Okay.
All right. And my last thing before,
Can we start going line by line?
before we go line by line, is all right, so at the bottom, and just to reiterate what we were discussing, so I was going to ask Lorraine, from a tax rate perspective, where do we stand right now if we make no other adjustments? She took into consideration the original goal of, 2 cents and...
Decrease.
2 cent decrease.
Right.
And whatnot, and she put down here, must cut another... Now, so your analysis was to keep the tax rate flat, okay, must cut another 133 cents from 2014 appropriations, just to meet that, just to keep us flat, okay? And it will be another 133 to meet the 2 cent decrease. So it'll be
Okay, so
133 or 2 cents.
We are $133,418.61 away from ensuring no tax increase. If we want to be able to, is that incorrect?
Just try not to think of it as a tax increase, it would be a levy increase. Just because you're not increasing your levy doesn't mean your taxes won't go up. If your assessed valuation decreases or increases, that'll fluctuate your actual tax rate, but this would be holding your levy. You're asking your taxpayers to contribute the same amount as they did last year.
And with the assessors, what we would need to know, when is the valuation lockdown
We don't know.
for a given year? Is it October the previous year? When do we...
I did get a correspondence from the assessor.
Yeah.
I think it ended up being 4,000 additional dollars. We anticipate in revenue from the added assessments from the additional construction from last year.
Okay.
$4,000 was insignificant enough that I
Right.
put it
All right,
aside.
But I think we could say that without getting bogged down in the semantics, if we identify another 133,418.61, that will ensure, regardless of the levy, that there will not be a tax increase next year.
Well, I want to clarify something, okay? So if you read in the paper, Lopakon dealing with challenges to tax rates, okay? And they're so large, they need to spread it over 3 years.
Right.
We have some challenges as well. And my question is, are those challenges going to impact the 2014 budget, or do they carry to 2015? So if the challenge isn't complete by today, or by the time we strike the budget, when does it take effect?
Which challenges?
The ones from the big box retails,
I'm sorry?
the assessments of the big box retails. Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah. And the former,
appeal, or...
the tax appeals, yes.
Yeah, they should, depending on when they settle, their assessed valuation would be reduced, I believe, effective that year. So if they do go down, it would change the way that the amount we're asking the taxpayers to pay are prorated across the town.
But we have control over that, because we could do the same thing as we did with Metarex. And again, this is something I can comment on because I represent municipalities and tax appeals. We simply direct the attorney, under no circumstance do you settle the case where the settlement would impact this year's budget, because settlements won't take place until December anyway. And at the end of the year, the petitioner is told the budget has already been struck for calendar year 2014, and everybody in the industry, and when I say everybody, I mean everybody without exception, they have no problem in doing a prospective settlement, as was done in
This is
Metarex.
exactly what we discussed with our attorney that's
Yes,
handling it.
yes. So
that's already...
I could answer it definitively, Jim, that we can say for certain that any settlement with a big box retailer will not impact this year's budget, because we simply won't allow it to. We are driving the bus. We just give direction to the attorney. You have absolutely zero authority to settle, and the case won't get, if it's a 2014 docket, or 13 docket, or maybe even 12 docket, it's not getting tried this year because the backlog is such in tax
But what
court.
Morrison did say, when he was here last month, did say that there was some impact that we do have because people had settled.
Yes,
He
Meadowlark.
quoted it, and he actually said a certain dollar amount would be reduction. So both reducing what the spending is not enough, but it's a step in the right direction. We have to continue doing a little bit more. So
Right.
the answer is we have to cut more from this budget, no matter what we do.
Yeah.
And it's in excess of, it's almost double what we've already cut, that's what we have to cut. So we know that on page 2 of your document here, there was a description, and it looks like you went to 3 cents. Is that correct? Is that page 2 of this? The back,
Page 2 of the budget?
the back
Yeah.
page of this, yeah, right there. I
Yeah.
usually see that on the last page somewhere. Maybe that's just something that was...
Do you know what, this was what I had worked up when Committeeman Adams was asking, can we reduce the levy 1 cent, 2 cent, 3
Right.
cents? So that's the value of,
What 1 cent is, what 2 cents, 3 cents. So we would be looking at about, I would say, a 5 cent reduction somewhere. If you do not agree, just to meet with what Morrison had said when he was here.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at, because that number is not, I don't have it in front of me from Morrison, but I think that goal is where we should be striving as a committee
Yeah.
in order to achieve some of the
I got it here
unknowns.
somewhere.
The last time we met, we were going through line by line, and we identified certain reductions.
Yes.
Mhm.
Are they already reflected in here?
yeah, all the
Okay.
changes were made.
All the changes were made, okay, so before, I remember there were certain line items, it was 5,000 here, it was 10,000 there.
But we didn't get...
What about your grant?
The grants are not reflective until Morrison does the blessing.
Okay, all right, so, the value of the grants exceeds the 133 that will be returned to the budget, correct?
Value of the grants exceeds the 130, yeah, about 140.
Okay, all right,
160.
so we may be...
And that's definite.
We may be halfway to our
We
goal.
may be halfway to the goal, okay,
Right, but we still have to do more. The grants are not going to be able to do it alone.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you want 5 cents, that's $299,160. So, you're around $300,000.
Well, and he
Okay.
talked about a decline of 943,484 is regenerated, 381 was his number, Jim.
$381,000.
Was his number.
That's our target. And what do you think approximately the
And
grant?
it doesn't have to be all in 1 year, I mean, but the grants the grants that have been untapped, and because they've been taken out of the general fund and knocked on and taken out, will be the 381 minus the 140, blah, blah, blah. So that's still about, we have to still look at it.
It's about 180.
Yeah.
Why did you say it doesn't have to be done in 1 year?
Because he's telling us to, like, look at it as a possible, you know, if we could get this up and running for 2015 and get it to a certain point, but unless we continue to control the spending, we're never going to be able to put money back in our surplus
I see.
to get up to where we were at $1 million at one point, so that we could do more capital improvements, such as the roads and stuff we discussed.
Yeah, which we really have
We really
to, we
need
have
to.
to address.
So,
And it
so,
troubles me because the Dumont Road grant is on here, and I only see $160,000, and nobody's going to tell me Dumont Road's going to be $160,000.
yeah.
It's probably going to be double that, and that scares me, and that is on the calendar to be done this year.
In terms of a target, though, right, we got that 381, that's the Morrison number. If you're comfortable with the 140 for the grants,
Yeah.
we subtract that out, that's going to be 240,000 as our target.
Right? Which is, how many cents, let's see?
240 is going to be 4 cents?
4.5 cents.
Okay. 4.5
So I was
cents.
going 5, okay.
There you go. Okay. So 240 is our goal. The document in front of us reflects the numbers that we reduced from last we met.
Mhm. Okay, so there,
Which-
the grants we have here, Jim, we'll just skip over those until we hear from what,
Yeah, let me go back to that original statement, so, because I'm looking at administrative, and it doesn't look like it changed here.
you're right.
You know, I think overall administration, and I had pulled up the, well, do we want to, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, Elaine. I'm ready to get into the details now.
Oh, yeah, you ready to go one by one? Yeah, because the grants are on the first page. We know that that's not able to be given any sort of answer yet.
Okay.
That's why we're not sure if introduction is April 5th or 20th, but it looks more like it's going to be April 5th. Or 3rd, or whatever that date is. What's that date? Is it the
For
3rd?
our meeting?
Yeah, is it the 3rd?
Hold on one second, I'll tell you
I
right
think
now.
that that's our introduction date.
Uh,
Although Jim and I tried desperately to make sure, to try and get it for the 20th.
April 3rd.
April 3rd and adoption possibly the 24th.
Of April?
I think that's April.
You need 28 days in between.
I thought you only needed the 10 days.
It has to be advertised 10 days before the public hearing, but you need
Correct.
28 days from introduction to adoption.
days?
So shall we figure this out today and get it into introduction for the 20th? And then we hit the 28 days by the 24th of April?
Yeah, I think we would need to introduce
Uh-huh.
March 20th.
Okay.
Does that give us 28 days? By 24th?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
not the third.
Tim's gonna put that on the agenda.
First reading.
First reading, yeah, tell her. So I'm sure that's what she's doing right now.
Okay, it's been added.
All right, so let's go,
I want to just start at the postage line.
yeah, that's the line I was going with.
Well, advertising and postage, it's like, my God, it's like 25 grand in there. I recall at one of the last meetings, we had, Lorraine, yourself, and Kim were going to get together to discuss how we could save some money on the postage. Has that come to fruition? And
I believe I provided a new postage quote, but I don't know when the most recent lease came up for this postage machine.
I haven't seen it.
So you don't think it's unreasonable?
I don't remember seeing it, so if it came up, maybe it's going to Tim. Do you remember what it was off the top of your head?
$68.98 a month for a postage machine of equivalent.
That's a good start.
well, hang on. Correct my math here, but does this column total 38,000?
What column?
The
So-
actual addition of it, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I just went through here, so other expenses is 38.3. So I got 14 and 10 is 24,
That's it,
26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 36, 37.
I'm adding it in Excel right now, it's 38,000.
It is, all right. I'm looking at, I was thinking 40.
Home numbers, right?
Okay, so the advertising, if we chill out on ordinances, we should be in better shape.
We have one more to
And
go.
we won't be advertising for second meetings and things.
Yeah, last year, there was a lot of, in my opinion, needless additional meetings. It seemed like every week we were advertising another
More
special
special
meeting.
meeting.
Everything was a special meeting. We had more special meetings than regular meetings.
When we did this calendar this year, this is the only meeting that was not advertised in our January 1 packet.
Yep.
Does Kim do advertising every week?
No, for all of our meetings, it's done once a year.
done January
It's done
1.
January 1 for the whole year.
All right, so how much can we take out of advertising?
question we have to ask the clerk.
Let me pull in the...
Yeah.
We should have an intercom. Tim, Tim, Tim.
We're looking at the advertising, proposed budget line item of 14.5 and figuring out how much we can cut from that.
We're gonna make it 6.
14.5?
We're gonna make it 7 in half.
7? Okay.
You can live with that?
But what is it? What is, there's a reason why it's 14.5. We have actual of
Well, it would
14,052.
be, I mean, how you charged out for advertising last year was for my things.
Community Day?
Did you charge advertising any planning board things?
No, planning board, land use,
So
zoning,
this was
all
all
goes
just-
through their own
okay.
board.
What are the special
But if I
events?
just-
Just administrative.
Township
So
committee,
if I sent any ads for employment and things like that, that I sent, that was charged. But that was the highest amount, was, you know, if I sent something.
What about special events? Like putting Community Day in Prince Plus or anything like that?
Community Day
It's all
budget.
Community Day, it's on a separate budget, okay.
Yeah. So, legal ads per se for notices for meetings are expensive.
What's the average cost? $200 for a meeting?
Yeah. I mean, if I put an ad in for, say, tax collector, I could spend close to $1,000.
I was gonna say, one was $914.
Which we will be doing.
which Jim has gotten rewording on how to do it in a better, that they've suggested to him,
Okay.
which could be, Jim, is it smaller, shorter, less?
We cut it
Yeah,
down.
you should, I was taking out
But
periods.
that's smart. That's literally the way to do it. I
Yes,
mean,
because we pay by word.
Exactly.
You know, for the block. So he had given me a real long ad, and I said, well, this is
there-
gonna be
is
like
there
$5,000.
We want a motivated individual.
Is there any type of municipal, a rate rather than just general?
The legal ad is cheaper than a classified ad. Classified is very expensive, and I can't get a break on that. The legal ad is a cheaper rate than what a classified would be. So,
So if we were to advertise for a tax collector in the legal section, make it a legal
they
ad.
could, yeah, but next time, I'll put it in classified, I guess.
Well, we are legally obligated to have a tax collector.
well, the problem is you're not going to get the people looking there. I mean,
No, but Jim's got a few other places
You
to
want
post,
to
though.
cut this like in half?
Like, is that
All right, how
realistic?
about I go down to 10?
I mean, is that
I was just gonna
realistic,
say,
right?
Just do it at 10, and, you know, we'll see where we are.
I'm just saying, when
So,
we look at
How about we take a,
how much more can you make?
so,
I think 10 is a good number. I think we should go back to and let him know about this postage
Yeah.
quote that, did you receive an email from Lorraine about the postage?
It's a paper copy from, not NeoPost, but a vendor who had quoted over in another town. I asked if he could provide for Greenwich as well. It was $68.98 a month.
$8.98 for a postage meter?
A month,
Yeah.
but this postage is 10,000.
This
Well,
is-
that's postage as well. That's not just...
I was just gonna say, that's not just my postage meter.
That's the cost of the postage as well.
Do you know off the top of your head how much Pitney Bowes charges?
A significant amount more than that.
More than 68? How much is
it's over 6,800?
No,
68. To rent
$68.
$68, right?
Yeah.
To rent the
Do
postage.
you know how far out we are in that lease? Because we did offer to buy out the remaining of the lease. Normally a postage lease is 3 or 5 years.
Mhm. I just renewed last year, so I'm gonna have to find out.
That won't work. You won't buy out the lease.
All right, so,
Okay.
let me ask this question.
$830.
We send out huge documents for our land use board and whatnot.
Is the land use board in this postage?
That's what I wanted to ask you too. Okay, now you're saying my advertising cost was just for me, and that
That's just
planning
for the
board and
township.
everything else,
The mail.
that was theirs. But the postage itself is 10,000,
Physically used postage all comes out of that postage meter,
so.
That would include the land use.
So it would include land use, but we
Right.
used to have it broken down by code. You put in a code,
Uh-huh.
the court would put in their code, they would know how much they spent, land use
Right.
would know how much it spent.
That's
no
when
one's
you,
ever provided me a printout from that postage meter so that I'd be able to break it out by department.
We can't do that.
We need-
Okay, well, I'm just saying, no one's ever given
Oh,
that to me, so
okay.
I haven't had that ability to
Oh.
break that out.
Okay.
The state recommended maybe 5 years ago, to combine all of your expenses so that they could monitor how much each municipality is paying for certain items. Things like electricity, telephones.
True, but if all postage
postage.
is not coming from the same department, and land use is actually something that's
That can be
taken from
broken out by-
escrow.
Yeah, we need to do
We
that.
need to break it out, set it up. And then at the end of the month.
Municipal has their own budget, the land use has their, we
Court
can,
has their own,
Court has their own, so
sewer has its own.
I can put
Yes.
a and dog account, I mean, everything. So what would
Don't
happen
hand out those
is,
cards.
When you go to do the requisition purchase order, it would say, clerk, $50, whatever, and then ticket you go. So it would give a final total of what the postage would be for the month, but it would be broken out as to what accounts get charged out of the total sum.
yeah, we need to break it out.
Yeah, so
We're never gonna get a handle on these line items unless we're, if things aren't properly allocated, everything we're doing here is meaningless, and then there's artificial higher numbers because things aren't being
Yeah,
put where they
and
need
it's
to be.
it's more towards when we have land use issues, that's part of what the
The
costs are.
escrow, correct.
And sewer should be out of sewer, or are
Correct.
we starting to now look at apportionating a percentage of the operation of this township into the sewer, which we haven't done that. So, when the little things come up, if we're just going to deduct sewer for what they actually use and not do what other towns do, which is appropriate a certain amount of money from all the expenses and throw it in there and then put it back to our budget, then it's better to actually know line by line what we're spending over there and just attach those costs to them. That's
And-
you can get a
agree, I'm
report
sure.
that has that, that's fine, that's no problem, we charge out each department.
But what Elaine said is an important distinction, and I just, again, for any residents who would be viewing this tape, it is important that the record, that they understand, we're not talking about coding out expenses to different line items just to track where it's going. They're different budgets. There's a separate revenue source for the municipal budget. There's a separate revenue source for the sewer, and there's a separate revenue source when applicants give their own money to the land use board, which is what we're always referring to as an escrow account. So the point is, if we're not putting it on these other streams of revenue, we're asking the taxpayer to incur a cost where it should not, where the taxpayer should not be asked to pay. And that's the reason for this, and it is an important distinction.
it clearly is, so,
Even as simple as the dog licenses, people pay for that, and we mail out the license, it comes out of that account.
Right.
Well, the copier also has the capability of
Yes, it
doing
does.
that, too.
Yeah, so
And we should do that as well.
For land use, so I would know which escrow accounts to charge.
There would
Right.
have to be an identification for land use. So that's something that we're going to have to work out a process for. I know that word has been overused in the past 3 months, but we'll get to that.
Well,
what are you talking about?
Maybe it's as simple as setting up a sub-account for the folks here to be charging to the land use, and then Barbara can whack it up by giving people bills.
Yeah, so that I want to clarify. All of the planning board's activities are from the funds provided through escrows? Or is there a component of zoning board,
Land use.
land use board, thank you, land use board that is township funded?
It is if we're doing a master plan review,
And we're not.
and we're not, we've just done one of those, but there are, yes, we can give you a menu of items where the land use board would be undertaking activities where it would be appropriate to charge the taxpayer. I can't think of a single instance in this year's budget where that would happen.
Secretary,
Sorry?
land use secretary is paid from general.
On the salary, we're talking about the,
Supply, postage,
Right.
and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so that list would be helpful, and that's a point of discussion with land use chair as to what's happening that year with regard to planning for like next year.
I'll work on that.
and like, for example, the land use chair did request, funds for, a review of a alternate energy ordinance, was an example, and,
Right.
we may not be able to do that this year,
And now
too.
we do know that we have to put in this budget, education for the folks to go to the classes to actually take their
Right.
programs to be
Mhm.
certified. So
Right.
that
And-
needs to go in.
And that's one of the things that is municipally funded.
Yes, that would be,
That's
okay.
municipal.
All right,
We're
so,
educating our team.
so what we're saying, it sounded like there was two paths to go down. Do we want to decide now which path to go down in terms of how it's structured in the budget?
You mean actual or percentage?
Yeah.
Well, for this budget, we'd have to look at a general percentage, because there's no actual that we can go off of at this point.
Right. We have no historical data.
We have no historical data, so we figure out for sewer, 880 times whatever it is, and how many, and we minus that out and put it under sewer. And the same thing for,
You're probably reducing the amount of delinquent notices.
exactly, so, I
And
mean,
letters for the
it's something
seniors.
that I'm sure Sherry can, guesstimate, at least if we could do a percentage and start to work that way.
Yeah. And then as we're coding, we'll be building up a historical basis so that...
On the land use too, we're
Yes.
building up a historical base now, so we're gonna have to come up with a plan.
And finance will have a large addition for all the purchasing and the checks and all that.
Yes.
And that's something too, like, when someone comes in for an application and she has to mail out all those applications, everybody should be cognizant of the postage, the fact that we should be charging the escrow for that,
Yes.
and not the town.
Yep.
Well, and that's true, because how many of our members get packets that are...
Right.
There was one time we had a $4 packet, I thought some of the members were gonna fall over, they would rather come here and pick it up.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
this would be charged.
Oh, they could do
Yeah,
that.
but there are other members who want it mailed, and it's okay. And again, the applicant, it's the applicant's cost. It's not the taxpayer.
Exactly, so then she would have to, just do up an invoice.
And that's
type
one thing we have to tell, we have to make sure our members know that that the cost is incurred at, by the applicant when that's necessary, because I have planning board member, land use members who are going, I gotta stop by and pick it up for $4, and you're right, because they're a taxpayer. So,
So then she would invoice, invoice for the town, payable to the town.
we'll do the process later, we need to finish the budget.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, that's fine.
So how do we end up on postage? And I understand where we are at with advertising.
We're gonna let Lorraine do percentages based on whatever the guesstimates are for 2014, and put them under their category.
Which could take the $10,000, and if 20% is municipal and 20% is whatever,
Board and...
and another 10%, that could take the 10,000 item down to 5.
It would be apportioned out through the other departments. The
Right.
only actual end savings would be what
Would go to another
apportioned
fund.
over to sewer.
Right.
Sewer and escrow.
And court.
Court comes out of court.
And court.
Okay.
That's still
So,
taxation. That's still,
But
they
they,
have
but
an
they bring in
operational
revenue,
budget.
but they bring in a revenue, and their revenue would be depleted by whatever their costs are associated to it, which is
Right.
where I was thinking about the appropriations.
Okay, but it won't show that way in the budget. It'll show that way in the
Right.
budget as just
Right.
an appropriation.
Okay.
all right, so Lorraine, you're going to
Break that postage.
break out the postage, all right, in time for the 20th?
And these are your dues, 23, and our dues?
Yes.
Is that the League of Municipalities
That's
in
not
there?
Kim,
And
that's just you. Kim has her own operational budget.
so what is the 2,300?
That is our, we don't have the bonus dues.
Because in 2012, we had 1,500 in here. We actually spent 2,000, and now we have 23.
That would be the League of Municipality dues, that would be the
Right.
Mayor's Association dues, that would be any other professional organizations, it would be,
Just the organizations, though, no fees, or no overnights, or any of that stuff.
For under myself, but I found, I just have office supplies, education, publications, and miscellaneous. My Clerks Association for Warren County,
and that would come out of your budget as well. Do we want to finish up administration, or do we want to jump down to?
well, I'm just not back and forth here as to how this is getting charged.
I'll tell you right now, whatever mayor dues there are, take them out for this year's budget.
You can leave the league and take out the
Take out-
NJCM.
Take it out.
Okay.
NJCM, Conference of Mayors.
Take it out, if it hasn't been paid
Because
yet.
she's...
If it was paid already, it was, you think it was paid already?
It might have been.
Okay.
I mean, they hit you at the tail end of
They
last year.
hit you in January for this.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, like the day of T-shirts and stuff like that. And send in your dues, my really need.
Did you get a T-shirt?
I didn't get a T-shirt.
Did you get a T-shirt?
T-shirts are free. Yeah,
You think you held up?
free.
Okay, well, look,
We talked about that.
I understand it may only be $500, but, you know, we're gonna be asking a lot of departments to cut on this,
All right, if
and
it
that's
hasn't
not...
been paid, it hasn't, then that's
Yeah.
okay. If it's already been gone, so...
Yeah, I know, but if it's 500, I mean, just
All right.
take it back.
Cell phones. How could there be an actual...
Yeah, where's the, I'm actually an
That was
actual.
a purchase for a cell phone for last year.
Oh, okay, that was a purchase of one cell phone?
That's where I'm like, I'm looking at their administration versus my budget, that's why I don't understand.
Who purchased a phone for $515 last year?
I think that was Kim's phone.
Is that Kim's phone? That was 12. That was 12.
Was it?
Yeah. Kim's phone came in 12.
I don't remember if I was upstairs or not at the time.
Huh?
I don't remember if I was upstairs or not at the time.
I got that one, Joe was there, I got the other one.
Yes, that's
Right.
Kim's phone.
I
You
don't,
can find out what it is.
Yeah.
Find out
Right,
for me.
I remember you doing
What
it.
is that?
It was 12.
Right, it was 12, you're right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we don't have phones, nobody
I
out there
don't,
has a phone like right
I don't
now.
have one. Oh, yeah.
Well, we're talking about phones. Has anybody done anything about that phone proposal?
oh, Angelo.
Yeah,
It's next on
yeah.
our agenda after we finish the
It's,
phone.
I have it under technology.
He does have it under technology.
Yeah, we're having it reviewed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't
So
even look.
That's $6,000 savings.
My eyes are bleary from all the stuff I read.
Okay, so then the $1,000 office supplies for the township committee, that would be for,
that's general administrative supplies. That would be, copy paper for the copy machine in whichever one uses. That would be, any general supplies that, everyone would have use of.
Yeah.
Not like my finance little notepads, that's what I buy, or not your agenda books, that's what you buy, or court.
Doesn't buy
It's
agenda
just
books
any
anymore.
general.
right,
But, and that's the other thing, I just wanted, there's been a conversation this week about, pre-printed, stationery for municipal court, and Greenwich Township and all of that.
Yeah.
We need to stop that. No purchasing of special letterhead. There's a template on, Word document, it's free. It's the 21st century, purchasing pre-printed letterhead, especially when we have to operate this lean, it's a waste of money.
The only thing I want to say,
Yeah, and we're going,
And paperless. As you can see.
Actually, that's actually the most important point, and that's a great point, Jim, because at my law firm, they still buy printed letterhead, and I don't use it. I use the template. And the reason is, when I save an electronic copy, if you save an electronic copy of a document that is prepared to be printed on embossed letterhead, your electronic copy is flawed because it doesn't have the letterhead on there. So in order to have a true copy, you must get rid of the pre-print.
it's got to be a template.
It's got to be a template,
But
so...
the only thing that you must order are the envelopes with the pre-printed
Right.
stuff on.
Return address,
That's
Okay.
the only
like
thing
that.
that must be ordered. The other stuff,
and
and if that has not,
No more. Don't buy it anymore. Just,
I already have it.
have it scanned, send it to Cindy, make it a template, and
Right.
it's done, and you constantly just keep using it.
Correct.
That's all.
I do it all.
correct. And you can have a template like this for you, then Lorraine can have one that says CFO on the right, and the court, and everything
I
else.
have one, I'm sure it has the logo, it has
I would just tell Cindy to create them and send us the template.
For my cards, because I only have...
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
that's the right.
Yes.
Cards.
That is in the
Yes.
works.
Yeah,
But
where's
that's
my-
$15. I mean, and that, you need that to hand that out, that's different. You don't need
So that
this.
was scratching out the...
Yes.
Yeah, that's different, Angela.
So business cards, we'll talk about later next week.
Yes, yes. No, business cards.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
everybody else has got...
Yeah, some more than that to send out to every resident.
Why do you have 3 microphones?
I do.
I had I had a question along the same lines. The
I don't even want to know.
The automatic ordering of supplies, I believe I heard about this from Mary Ann. Do we have a supplier like a Staples or someone coming in that automatically gets us to a certain inventory level of supplies, of paper, and this, that, and the other thing?
Mary Ann has been tasked to order the paper. She knows how many cases to order.
I think it was presented to Jim a little differently.
Like you have a vendor coming in,
It comes in, takes a look at your stock and says, oh, you know, you need 3
No.
cases or something.
No. I don't agree with
I think
that.
the only vendor that does that is the medical supply guy.
Right.
No, and we have state chemical, but no.
Yeah, I don't agree with having vendor managed inventory because they will jack it up.
No,
And they will,
I used to sell that way.
I'm on.
Yeah, you need more shampoo.
Wayne walks in the door, oh, your cabinet's empty, let's stock this up, huh?
yeah, I
No, it
know.
doesn't work. Okay, how does the water supply work? From Great Bay?
Water?
Yeah, just on the top of my head.
Are we
how
jumping
does
around or are we
Great Bay
going
water
line for
supply?
line?
Bottles?
Yeah.
I wanted to nail this. Hey,
We
I'm
have a
sorry.
rotating, it's over in the police trailer, it's downstairs,
You're right, kind of fun.
and it's here in the hallway.
All over the place. Are we highlighting?
Okay, so,
An application to be a volunteer firefighter. I can give you the number for the fire chief, and you can contact.
Actually, you could go on our website at greenwichtownship.org, and in the upper right, you're going to see, the very last button, you'll click on it, and there's a link to the fire department, and the information is all there as well.
Is this the fire department or?
It's next door.
Oh.
I'm telling you, everything you need is there, it's there, it's all there.
it's a one-stop shop.
It really is.
You know what, I don't feel too good. You know, if you log on to greenwichtownship.org, you can order your medications through,
You know, if we weren't on the record right now, and I know that there's a risk of children watching, I'd have a few words for you, Deputy Mayor.
So perhaps we've gone a little off course here.
guys are jumping
That's
around.
about automatic ordering.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
right.
I,
Yeah, right.
Okay.
well, that, I'm asking if water is automatic ordering.
That is, okay, that is.
That shouldn't
And that's-
be, because that's seasonal.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah, they take the empties and replenish.
But do we have water to me is seasonal. I mean, I think there's more consumption in the summer than there is in the winter. I mean, do we have an adjustment during that?
I just don't want to go downstairs
I
and
used to-
see
of
10
people-
bottles of
of
water sit
people
downstairs for
drinking?
2
Yeah.
months.
No, it's not.
Right, because in my office environment, water tends to build every winter. I have 10
We do
extra
too.
jugs, and in the summer, people drink more because it's hotter. So do we have a 6-month ordering for summer, ordering for winter by,
Can it be adjusted?
Right, right.
If there's
Yeah.
10 bottles downstairs,
Some months,
why would you go on an automatic and have another few delivered when there's 10 bottles downstairs? It's a planning system.
They
I'm
would
not,
Right.
I mean, this is
automatically give me 10.
This is not a major thing in the
No,
budget,
no.
but it's a major thing on how
but if
operations
we think that
run.
way for everything,
Exactly.
we're gonna gain $60, $80, $100, because on my office budget, 10 jugs of water is $80 a month. You know, on where I get it from. So $80 a month for 6 months is, you know,
Well, and it's every little thing, and it's really about how office operations
it's a
go.
mentality, and it's, yeah, definitely.
I will take a look at the water consumption
Excellent.
and see what we can do.
There will be no more water.
The lead, 1,500, that is lead dues, and that I would assume is also the charge for badges.
Wait a minute, if the league dues are 1,500, what's in the 2,300?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some items.
That's a lot of money.
Now, together, that doesn't make sense. See, the 20,
I don't have dues on my line item, so that's what I'm questioning. Who's got the dues? My
It
dues.
should be, everything for you should be under the clerk, it might actually be subbed out.
So who else has dues that would be in the administrative besides the league, which is something, yes, we know?
Do you want me to print out a detail?
Yeah.
I can do that. All right, can I use the
Can you just
RES
send it
computer?
over to
Yeah.
her?
Well, I can't do anything from here, I'm not connected to the...
Oh, okay.
Pretty
If I can log on.
Actually, I
Yes.
need one of these.
It's coming your way pretty soon.
Yeah.
Hey, Lorraine, I know this computer gets that.
That's what I just said, can I use
Oh,
Mary's
oh, yeah.
computer?
Oh, that's right, it is
Building
right.
your little
I was
doodads
gonna give this
there.
to yes.
Okay, so Kim, let's go down to publications. What's that?
$2,000 in publication. That's the lead letter
No, if you're a member of the league, that automatically comes.
Okay, I'll-
Yeah, it is bad. And honestly, if we can't justify it, I'm just gonna tell you right now, if we can't get an explanation as to why it's in the line item, I just want it done. Yeah. Either that, or there's different funds that are just parked
And
for
they're
rainy
just
days.
not in there, or it's just never been really... It's
Looked
like
at.
when we looked at Finelli, when we looked at Finelli, the engineer budget, and then there was $5,000 underneath it for master plan.
Except there was an actual expenditure last year
Yeah, I'm
of
dying.
$2,000 under publication, but yet every year before that, it was only budgeted $400 or $500, and the actual expenditure in 2012 was $600. So,
It was budgeted for 4 and we spent 6.
Yeah.
Because all I'm saying is my budget, traditionally, I know, but traditionally, we have like a $50,000.
here's my proposal.
48 is what I recall.
Yeah, but okay, so now it's going down, so you take the 38 plus my 46.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
what we'll do is when we get to you, we'll look at your number under you and make sure it's sufficient for what you know you need. And we're gonna operate under the assumption that everything up here is not you. And the only thing that we know we need is the $1,500 for the League of Municipalities.
And I would
Period.
think that the $1,500 would include
The magazine.
the magazine.
It does. I know for certain
I'm
it
sure it
does.
does.
And by the way, if it doesn't, then we don't get the
We don't want the
magazine.
magazine.
So,
The only one I cared about was Stuart Koenig's,
And so with the league, the 1,500, see, I would go with,
Part of his dues were the Morris County Co-op, that was $1,600. That was paid out of administration.
with Morris County Co-op for,
Purchasing
or
co-op,
under the DPW.
I'm just saying that that's where it was spent from last year.
Okay.
And the dues included web-based reviews.
okay, which we now have a separate line item for that.
Okay, so can we put that Morris County Co-op under DPW? Because we're not, it doesn't affect the operation here, but it affects their operation, correct, Kim?
If there are things that we could purchase administratively through the co-op, they have all sorts of things, not just DPW, they have office supplies, they have tons of things under the co-op.
Why aren't we using?
I don't know, because if we're paying this much in a due,
You want something back?
you would want to expand it more than just DPW.
We're underutilizing the membership.
and we need to talk to John with the Morris County Co-op, because now we're in a co-op with the county.
With the county, which is,
Yeah,
And
so,
we do our...
but we have to
salt,
sign up every year,
We do our salt, we do our dues.
and it's free,
Right.
and get rid of Morris County.
Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
Get rid of the Morris County Co-op.
Done. So we're gonna take the publication of 2,000 and the dues of 2,300, and we're gonna delete them to zero. That's a savings of $4,300 right there.
Right there, yeah.
2,000 and what?
The 2,300 dues is gonna be zero, and the publication for 2,000 is gonna be zero.
What about your league dues?
The league dues are under 1,500.
Are they under the 1,500?
It says league.
Okay. All right, so what was the change in the dues, or going from 2,300 to zero?
To zero, and publication is going from 2,000 to zero.
And can you send an email to John saying we're not using Morris County, to use just the Warren County?
Yes.
Okay.
I could send him a text message right now. Hold on one second.
Wait, it might be a 3-hour call out, go through that.
Yes, we can. I could
Okay.
let him know.
Formally let him know, yeah.
All right, fine, do it that way.
Date and time stamp on those emails.
Don't make, get billed. I don't think he would do that.
No.
No,
No.
of course, it was a joke.
That brings the administrative from, I think it was 38,300, now it's down to 29,500.
There we go.
So is there anything he's getting from Morris County Co-op that he cannot get from,
Well, unless we hear from him direct after the email is sent, we'll leave it at
Okay.
29.5.
Right.
but Kim, you're pretty solid that,
Solid, the salt, we go through the county. That's not from Morris County. We did the paving that one year, and then remember they had that lawsuit.
Yeah, and the lawsuit, the Tilcon, and the whole 9 yards, we just got out of, yeah.
And all of that stuff.
all right.
Website newsletter, $5,000.
Yeah, what's with that?
That was actually just increased.
What was that?
Yeah, I would-
Changes to the website.
Isn't that an oxymoron?
Really?
I would say, no, it's not. I would say leave it 5,000 for this year, because there was the initial expenditure of
Of the setup.
2,500 to set it up.
Is that where it's coming out of?
Yes. Yeah, but I would say,
And here's money.
No one gets past me.
I would say for next year's budget, you could probably drop it to 2,500 or 3.
Okay, all right, so what's the miscellaneous 1,000 there? Okay, so
Just things that weren't misclassified. I'll tell
under
you what the
office
59
supplies for administrative, 1,000, you said that was for paper and such?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what it was.
Because we have $7,000 in bill, because I charge, paper for this building here, Public Buildings and Grounds.
That was the waiver law posted. It was in tax issue from, copy paper that had
That's a
installation of steel doors was
What
taken.
she uses different line items.
Kim has multiple budgets.
Multiple line items.
Okay.
She uses building and grounds and does supplies through that.
Miscellaneous is, flowers.
Joe? Public building and grounds.
I see, I understand. So you want to take the office supplies out of that then?
Well, I think we just need to see both of those in the same light, and then understand where Kim is moving, or taking money from.
The ShopRite purchases came out of miscellaneous.
Oh, did we have some sort of cake or something?
Here we go, we had a Gordon Kohler
The only thing
celebration.
I purchased from ShopRite was...
Gordon Kohler.
Just stuff in that one.
Okay, all right. So leave
And what about the
miscellaneous in there.
cheesecake?
Right, you get the cookies every year, right, right,
Wasn't there a
right.
cheesecake?
There was other purchases.
Yeah, when you get a chance, can you just print out the detail on that for me? I want to see what it is.
Just, how big is it before you print?
This particular section of administration is 3 pages.
And for public building and grounds?
That was separate.
Yep. It could be hundreds of pages, Elaine, that's why,
Oh, I'm leaving it up to you here. 'cause,
do you want it electronically in our paperless,
Sure, I'm good for electronically.
yeah, we'll do it electronically, Lorraine.
Oh, okay, do you want me to do
The whole, but, I'm sorry, I
Oh,
just
yeah.
said the administration, so to see the, do you want the whole thing, the transaction details, so you can look through every single thing where it was spent last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that one in a PDF, and we'll email that around.
Is it, can they print PDF from here? Is that it?
They should be able to.
Salaries and wages.
Is that okay to send that to everybody at once?
Yes.
Yeah,
As long as you don't reply.
we're all
Yes.
sitting here in a meeting, yeah, we're okay with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
We could do everything.
All right, go down to mayor and council. I think we should... Municipal clerk.
What is Mary, the 11,755, what does that represent? Or is that a, what's the hourly rate here?
40.
And how many hours a week does she work?
12, she's typically 12,
And how many weeks do we calculate for a year?
but she does come in when Kim is not here for more than 12 hours.
We've had like, like a...
She covers, like,
So what's
I'm
the,
gonna be away from last week.
okay, what's the percentage breakdown between Kim, between this individual doing deputy, or filling in for you versus doing her job? What's that breakdown?
Doing her job, I mean, being my assistant versus what?
Like when you're not here? Right? So, she's getting $12 an hour.
15,
She's getting $15 an hour for 12 hours a week,
yes.
right? How many weeks in a year? What do you calculate?
52?
52.
Yes, this is bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we, I'm sorry, in corporate La La Land, we calculate
4.3.
22 and a half days a month
Yeah,
and 50
right.
weeks a year. So,
Actual work days,
Yeah.
shop days. You're doing the
Okay,
shop.
so
yeah.
her,
Oh, all right.
her
What are
typical
we, in a
salaries
union?
for 12 hours a week, 52 weeks a year would be $94.60, so the difference is between $94.60 between $11.75, so it's like a $2,000, $2,500 to cover when Kim's not here for Kim's time out.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yep.
There's no PDF printed. I don't see it.
Okay, we'll do it, yeah, we'll do it under it or something. just leave it up so you can reference it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense?
I
Okay.
think so. Because if Kim's vacation, or Kim's got to go on a certification,
Mm-hmm.
and she's got to be away for, yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And if we need to, we can offset whatever between Sherry and giving Sherry a little extra hours if we need to do
Yeah.
something more. So we
Yeah.
have to think in those lines.
Well, and that's something like with what's coming up now, I'm going to adjust the hours Sherry's here during the morning, so I'm not going to have Mary Ann working for that.
And that's why we went to that, in 2012, that's why we went to the model of two part-timers as opposed to one with, because it gives that flexibility with the added cost savings, so.
Hours will change where they won't be here at the same
Yeah.
time. I'm going to,
And it covers for more of a lengthy part of a day.
I'll be in later in the day to cover when Sherry leaves.
Okay, so that $2,500 for Mary Ann basically represents about 4 weeks' worth of work across the year. And that makes sense to you for your time, your trainings and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, and this week, she stayed a little longer than her 12 hours because she was getting together the bill list.
Yeah, we have to be a little
So, yeah,
up and down.
and this week, I told her wouldn't be traditionally how it's going to be moving forward.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And we're going to designate out how many hours we're going to, dedicate her to handling what she's doing with the purchasing versus.
Yeah, it's not a full-time, we already went through what the time allotments are, we've already assessed all that stuff, so we're gonna have to use that as a sort of a block, so that we know that this time is, how much time should be taken up for this, so that we can measure whether or not 12 hours is enough, or in fact, it could be utilized in a different way, so that one person is not using that whole 12 hours for one aspect of a job that really is, we know already does not.
Did we make any other changes?
So I'm going to knock it down.
No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, so, there were no changes to council,
Right.
municipal clerk, so,
We
I
feel
saw-
100
I got a raise.
could be added to that.
They gave me a raise.
oh, okay, all right.
I think, yeah.
Thank you for the heads up, Tom.
What did you say you're giving me a raise?
No,
come on.
All right, so...
No, it's not good to hear that.
So let's move on. We got a lot to cover, and if we're in agreement that Mary Ann's staying the same, let's just move
Yeah,
on.
okay, so office supplies, Kim, is this your other bucket you took things out of here?
Apparently, this is my office supplies,
Right. This is just you.
2,200. We can knock 500 at least off, just since I'm not buying the,
Stationary.
Agenda book.
And the
books
agenda.
and the indexes.
Okay,
So-
so 1,700?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a movie, Dave.
Education, I would keep that, because that is my,
Yeah.
publication.
And if we want to educate anybody else, do you think that that is enough money in the
Anybody else?
If we have a need, or we feel like there might be some other people we want to put through a class or two, just to keep them fresh,
Okay.
keep them up, not enough?
In my department,
Yeah, it could be, or it could be, Sherry, it could be Mary Ann, it could be. You think
There
that
was
that's enough?
250 to spare last year.
There was 250 to spare? Okay.
Last year, we spent 1,500, so.
Okay, good. All right.
1,750.
Okay, good.
we'll leave
All right,
that,
leave it alone.
publications at 500?
What is that?
What is my publication?
Do you get code updates or anything like that?
No, because I have and that is something that I'm going to be working with the committee this year, is recodification. But codes is part of a 5-year broken out, like the master plan payment.
Yes, it's $40,000. That's typically what the number would be.
Yeah.
And it's taken over a 5-year period, so it's in a capital improvement.
Right. So let's take that out then, to zero.
Yeah. Okay.
When we do those changes, Joe, I want Lorraine to chime in.
I don't understand why we have a separate line item for office supplies for municipal clerk.
Yeah, hold on, Angela, please.
Okay, the Sam's Club membership shouldn't be paid out of me, that should be paid out of rec.
Your card.
How many,
My card, I'm the master one on it, and it's $37.
Yeah, you don't pay a portion of the
I'm the one
35.
that set it up, so,
So if your cards are 35, that is Matthew Bender and Company.
Matthew Bender and Company. Doesn't say what that's for, it's publication.
It says renewal 6/13 to 5/14. That was $66. There's, your municipal clerk, NJAMC, the alcohol application.
Can you go back up and look into dues and administrative out of that 2,300, out of the 2253 that was spent last year, and tell me what was charged out of there? Uh-huh.
After this, your stuff, take it offline, have a meeting Monday
Yeah.
morning, come down and go through this yourself, because you've
Okay.
got to move.
Okay, all right, I will. That's fine. So, yeah. Okay, I'll go through all, yeah, they're telling me to just cut off, so,
Lorraine, you know what, you guys can get together and look at this and then make some adjustments
Notes.
yourselves.
so everybody can
Okay.
see what was spent.
All right,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
great. But then you two can
Uh-huh.
have a discussion, make some adjustments
And we'll try
yourselves,
to-
and then
yeah.
we'll...
So we're not gonna touch any numbers
We're not
now.
gonna touch any more from...
But it looks like there's, I mean, we saved 500 on that, and it looks like we may be able to save another 500. It looks like or more.
So we dropped down my office supplies, $500, and why don't we just take the other 500 out of publications and knock my budget down to 3650?
Kim, I love you and all, but you know what?
Yeah, sorry.
Kim, I love you and all, but you need to go and take this and sit with Lorraine and
Yeah.
make sure your numbers are exact.
Yeah.
Let's run the thing, take some time on Monday or Tuesday, sit down.
And make sure that you can do
And
it.
before Thursday, because if we do an introduction, we want to know that
Okay.
you two agreed. And the way you see it should be the way that we put it in the line item, because you know what you spent.
And,
We don't want any guessing.
Elaine, it's really the other buckets that Kim is the department head for,
Yes.
quote unquote.
Yes.
Like building and grounds, there's a portion in there
Yes,
that's
there's
truly
more.
Kim's,
Exactly.
and not DPW's, I guess.
I guess, yeah. that's-
Well, buildings and grounds for a maintenance for the portion of the building and the grounds, but the DPW does sometimes the work that Kim needs to have done
Yeah.
on the buildings and grounds. So how that plays out is like,
Yeah, it's
it's a misnomer to the way the
Because I
budget.
think
Yep,
it'd be
okay.
really good just go back and look at previous budgets, from advertising all the way down to miscellaneous, and then here, I mean, under mine, office supplies and, some of those. Administrative and exec was the municipal clerk.
Right,
These
right.
line items.
It's
So
only
this-
been pulled out a couple of years
Yeah, it's
now.
only since
Right.
12 we did a pull-out,
Yeah,
and it's really
so
probably
that's
needs some
where-
tweaking from you, Kim. So,
So how do you separate the office supplies from administrative to municipal clerk? What,
That would
the
just be
duties that
And
you're
just
doing?
my pens, my notebook,
like her own file folders for her
Okay.
office.
my pen.
so basically just the operation of day-to-day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
her toner for her personal printer, whereas the toner for the fax machine, everyone uses that would come out of administration.
Okay.
All right, are we,
Yeah, let's,
Okay, so we finished with
Yeah.
D? We're going into finance now?
yes.
Okay.
all right, we know purchasing Mary Ann Kathy, 6,000 is out.
Okay, that is gonna be zero then.
Yeah, we're
Well-
gonna, it's
Well, what's the actuals?
Yeah, what is she picking up?
51,1609.
No. So, that, number one, it's not Mary Ann and Kathy, it's just Kathy.
Oh, how much was spent,
So, through February,
Right.
I'll have to.
Oh, yeah, the portion
Right.
amount, yeah.
Right.
It's gotta be
Right.
redone, right.
I'm
It wasn't,
sorry.
it wasn't a ton.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Whatever was spent, that's what the line item is. We know there's nothing going forward.
yeah.
You're right.
It was like
You're
9
right. Jimmy's on the ball.
Yep, Jimmy's on the ball.
It's gonna be two grand, 1560, $2,000. I'll give you $2,000.
No, keep it at 15. 15, 16, if that's the number, that's the
that's-
number.
Yes,
Well,
Other miscellaneous,
we round down, not up.
other miscellaneous. What would that be, though?
She's going
Well,
to
she's checking, which is great.
Yeah.
1162 was spent. That takes us up through February 1st payroll, and I think the termination was mid-February, so that should be everything.
So
So
that's-
1621.
That's the 1,200.
16.
Oh, 1621.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, give me a full-
I thought you heard she's like, oh, so 1,100. So that should,
Round down.
that should be the number. Put 1621 in there.
Can I go to 25, just so it's not a weird
Yes.
number at the end?
Yeah.
Why 25?
525, I knew he was gonna pick up on that.
1625.
Because if everything's in fives, it makes
1625.
Oh, 1625.
Oh,
1625.
I thought you meant 2,500.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're asking for $4 extra. Yes.
I was like, wow, Joe, man. I'm like, wow, he's really tough today, man.
I completely heard something different.
I did too. I was like, it was easy to think, but when I turn around,
Expenses on that line item.
Okay, that's very funny.
all right.
It's the three things below, the miscellaneous, the admin software, that's the bulk of it, and
Okay.
the office supplies. That would just be file folders that would be used for finance, for pens, for checks, for printing. I did order checks already this year.
Can we have a list of what Edmunds costs us by department? Because I know each one of their modules are different, and I want to make sure that they're billed to the department that they're for.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't think in finance, I think I just have finance. I don't think I have the requisition module in that, so that may actually be a little bit more.
Okay. And the sewer module is billed in sewer,
Mhm.
and, okay.
Question,
Yes.
shifting to direct deposit, right? Effective, what would he say, April 1st or something?
Yes, and I can give you a check today.
The information has to be in April 1st.
Okay, and how does that impact our supplies? And I know you were working on the payroll analysis.
Time, yeah. That we don't physically print the checks here, so that there may be a slightly reduced cost for the payroll company not generating checks, but it wouldn't be huge. It's not like we'll save $2,000 or anything.
But you're going to call them and ask them for that, though,
Yeah,
right?
they actually have a detailed bill. so
Yeah,
I
it's
can just
very
put it on the bill.
detailed.
Okay, good.
The office supplies, I see we spent $1835, and it's budgeted $28. Can we at least go down to 2? And save 800 there?
I was trying to go more.
Where are you?
Yeah, I didn't have to order any checks last year, though. I try and get 2 years' worth, just because it's a lot less expensive to get
And are you-
1,000 at a time.
Are your supplies within the Staples,
State contract, yeah, everything I get is state contract.
what is it called, Staples Advantage?
I think it's Staples Advantage something.
Okay, and
It's
does Tim,
State
Does Kim
contract.
have that, notice to do that, too?
They've given me a couple of requisitions, but I think they tend to go through Jurley's for the...
Well, no, we want her to have the code
Yeah.
so that she can go directly to Staples Advantage.
Yeah,
We want her to have that, yeah, okay.
yeah, we gotta do that, like, boom, now.
Because it's less expensive, and we know that, and that's the way it should be done. So,
Right.
and if you two, at some point, are ordering at the same time, even if it's once or twice, like every 2 weeks, check with each other to see if we could do it on one PO. I mean,
Yeah. And that, where does that spend show up for Kim that's non-Staples Advantage?
oh, that's under supplies.
Office supplies.
Yeah, okay, so while you're working with her, you can figure that into a new number here, so that we can reduce that cost as well.
We've already reduced it for a couple of things, so let's see how it works out. We may be, we don't want to cut off our nose to spite our face in some instances where we're cutting too low to the bone. Admin software, we have the requisition we're going to add. The office supplies, we're going down to what? 2,000.
What is the requisition we're going to add?
Admin's software, we've got to add the module for requisition.
Yeah, I don't think I have that in here under finance. I think I just have it.
I thought we had it.
We had already bought that.
We're just not using
We
it.
just didn't use it.
Oh, right, but the cost for it, I don't think it's added into
The cost is what, we had already had it, so we were paying for it and it wasn't used. So,
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't think we paid for it last year because it wasn't used. So I just have to make sure that that's included in the
okay,
33.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a big cost.
Oh, thank you.
Elaine, is what I'm thinking.
I know. But we also have the escrow module that needs to be done.
And put back on the rent, we should take that off, the escrow module?
I didn't know that we ever used the,
There was an escrow module on it too, for Edmonds.
I don't remember ever it being used.
No,
I know that
I
they
don't
have
have
one.
I'll put it this way. We had the escrow module. No, it was never used.
Okay.
So was it eliminated at some point in like the requisition?
I've only paid the parts that
Okay,
we
because
used.
that's something that we need to also
You want that back
look
in?
at.
Okay, so we'll have to add that in the land use.
It will make your life millions,
Infinitely easier.
millions of
Billions and billions.
I'll have faith. I'll have
Please
faith.
have faith. I promise you.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I get everything. I'm going to look up the payroll cost to save for no check printing. I'm going to give him the Staples State contract login.
Yes.
And I'm going to add in Edmund's requisition.
You know, Lorraine, on the login, can they give you a separate one, so yours is one and hers is another?
I can ask him to create, yeah. I'm going to add in the escrow, Edmund's land use, and I know you said something else, and I didn't write it down, so I'm right there.
Requisitions, the requisition cost, Edmund, the
And the escrow model.
escrow module. That's-
Yeah, I just want to
There's
clarify.
2,000 in office supplies, we got
Yeah, I
that.
changed that.
I just want to clarify, when we spoke to Edmonds earlier this year, we were paying for the requisition module even though it was off, so we shouldn't be seeing an increase in that cost.
Okay.
To add the escrow, we should.
It had been on the bill, but I didn't pay it last year.
Okay.
They disputed the charge, and at that time, I told them we're not using it, so we're not paying for it. So they might have had it on this year's bill as well, but it comes in, their 2014 bill would have come in November or December of last year.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
want to double check to make sure that it's in there.
Good, all right.
The tax does pay the tax portion of it, sewer pays the sewer portion.
Okay, great. That's a big thing. The annual audit, we have 30 in there, 2012 is 38.
Yeah, I didn't see the actual proposal, so I don't know what that actually is.
Okay, I'll have to get it out.
Hey, Elaine,
Yeah,
can we hop to Tom's items?
can we just do
After-
payroll
after
service
payroll,
first?
yep.
Can we finish payroll service?
Yep.
Will the direct deposit and the time scanner have an impact on the payroll service?
On the cost of it? The one note that I did have is to check the payroll bill to make sure that I remove the costs for the checks, and I can adjust down from the 12 for that, but I don't know how much
Ask
that's...
them if the time management system, which we know does agree with their system and will be proportionate to what they're doing, that direct input of information would be less costly for their annual bill, for their monthly.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I don't think it will, because I normally enter it online, and they don't get it until it's entered, so I don't think there'll be any time savings on their side, but I'll definitely check.
Check.
Yep.
Okay, is
I mean,
that
there's definitely time saving on your side.
after it's all set up?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, after it's all set up.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be
Each
working
department will be setting up.
I'll be working with you on it. All right, Tom's items, go.
It's on there.
Tom, you want to do yours so that...
Yeah, I just had some items for police, but I don't want to start the discussion.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Here, Angela.
And I
Do you have
just took this
fire
right off
too, or
of...
no?
No. That's an appropriation, I don't have their details, they're working on their internal.
So police one's like 4 pages down?
Yeah,
It's on page 4.
right.
Yeah.
And I met with Chief Hummer on some other items that I don't see reflected, and I want to see if they are somewhere in one of these buckets. The major item is the vehicles. We're looking at 7 vehicles right now, of which 42% are over 100,000 miles. We used to be in a routine of replacing 1 vehicle a year and keeping them all within 3 to 4 years of age and under 100,000 miles, which we obviously haven't been doing.
Well, the last one purchased was 12, so you're
Right.
saying in 13 there was no purchase made.
Right.
Okay.
So we started doing it, so now we have 42% of the vehicles over 100,000 miles. At 100,000 miles, the lease is at 126,000, the highest is 146,000. the balance is under 100,000. 92% of the maintenance costs for 2013 are from those 4 vehicles.
Wait,
So-
are you telling me we still have $100,000 in leases still out on some of these vehicles?
That's what I'm trying to break out. I see this lease number, and it's slash maintenance. And I'm trying to, Lorraine, can I ask the favor of separating maintenance from lease payments?
Sure.
Because I normally don't bucket those together. So what I did was I asked them to get me the maintenance cost for those vehicles, and that's what you have in front of you. I didn't tally them up in Excel. I have them in Excel in front of me, and I couldn't print here, but the total is $16,400
For what?
for all the maintenance costs for those vehicles.
16,400
Right.
for maintenance.
Of the 16,400, 15,000 of it is from the 92%, is 92% of the maintenance costs from the 4 vehicles over 100,000 miles. We're starting to see heavy parts replacement, transmissions, transaxles, powertrains. It's just major.
I
So
agree with
I
you.
don't know if we should start getting back into the plan of replacing 1 vehicle a year like we did.
First of all, my question is, and I drive by
Right.
the building, and I see a lot of cars, police vehicles here, and in my mind, and I'm looking at this inventory of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 vehicles. In my mind, I thought we had more than that. It seemed like we had more, but
No.
this represents the entire universe.
Yeah.
My question is this: if we never have more than 2 police officers on duty,
You have 3. You have 3. You have the chief, who's always on, that's one of the vehicles. That's one of the only
okay,
vehicles.
and 2 others.
2 officers, and then you have backups in case you have down vehicles.
Yeah,
So-
okay.
And remember, 2 of them have to be 4-wheel drives for inclement weather, because all the other vehicles are rear wheel.
Okay, but that's a separate issue
Right,
from the
right,
total
right.
number.
Right, I'm just saying the mix needs
Yeah.
to stay the same, we can't...
Well,
so-
actually, I don't know that it does. I
Right.
mean, I think if we have to have a 4-wheel drive, we have a 4-wheel drive in our inventory, but I don't, if the police chief always has a vehicle, and we have 2 that are on duty, and you want to keep extra for spare, that's all fine. We don't need 7.
Okay, so here's my question. Which of these 2 vehicles have had the most work or are potential down vehicles, whether it be by accident or whether it be by mechanical? Which
According to
I'd
the
love
numbers,
to
it's
know.
the Crown Victoria.
The Crown Victoria is huge, it's...
I think there should be a policy set in place that if an officer has an accident while on the job, this governing body should know that there was an accident and what the circumstances were.
Absolutely, we need to pass it, I want to know.
So if we could establish that policy, that would be a good thing. But I think if we do go back to the lease agreements, Tom, one of the things that I know is missing from the CFO's information is what those lease agreements and how the payments were done, which is what I asked her to get.
I don't have them, I don't have
Nor
those.
would you, because the police department has kept an entirely separate accounting system going on there and has not given the stuff to the CFO. So we can't even, I mean, I agree that we may need 1 lease vehicle new,
Right.
okay? But we need to get rid of maybe 2.
Right, just so you know,
So which
right,
one do you want back?
there's a vehicle out there that's destined for, that's going to be stripped and auctioned along with the minivan that's out there. We have titles to them now, and they're working
Those
on
were
auction.
seizures.
No, there was 1 police unit out there, yeah, so that one that's out there is getting
Is that on this
canned.
list?
I don't believe so, I'm not sure. Yeah, you know what, here, I have an extra.
All right, so hold on. The lease agreements, do you have knowledge of the lease agreements and how much in leases we have left? Because according to Tom's number, it's like another 15 grand.
No, I don't have copies of the lease agreements.
All right,
Before we even get any further,
Right.
I heard something right now that is troubling to me, that there are township tax dollars dedicated to these vehicles, and our CFO is kept out of the loop in the police.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
I would like to make a motion now, that effective immediately, that the police department turn over any and all financial information and lease information to the township CFO, who is responsible for financial oversight of our budget
And ensuring
Payment of
those.
bills.
and payment of bills.
I'll make the motion.
I second.
And I want to make sure that it's understood that we won't, I won't, and we should not consider any purchase or replacement of any vehicle until that's done.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Agreed.
Correct. Any comment? Roll call.
Bailey's?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Valari?
Yes.
Clearly?
Yes.
But you keep in mind that if we're doing an introduction on Thursday, the 20th, of this budget, we would need this tweet.
Yeah.
Dude, sweet. Are you going to make the formal request of the detailed items that you need, or do I need to say send the lead?
Yeah, I'll just
No, you need to say send all bills inclusive of...
Every-
Right, and a bulleted list of what you need in order to do your job, and in order to get what we need.
Because we can't analyze this without it.
And that should be fairly easy to grab and scan.
Yeah, and then on a going forward basis, they have nothing to do with any of the financial information, gathering any of it. It's a CFO. They don't make payments, nothing.
Okay? I think that that's fair there.
Yeah, it is.
You being kept in the dark is not helping.
Yeah, that's not helping. And it also makes it difficult for anybody managing this to see what's going on outside of trying to gather.
Quite honestly, I'm not even certain it's legal.
It's part of the gross.
Yeah, it's part of our budget.
And the grocery net.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not you.
And the
I'm talking to
GFN.
the other two.
Yeah, I know, I hear it.
And the GFN.
I'm ignoring it.
All right. So,
All right, so we can't really do, you know, Tom, I would be asking a question of the police department on, when was the last time that they did a search on where they can get their clothes dry cleaned for $9,600, $10,000?
yeah, I mean, it was a big,
I don't remember them ever coming with bids or quotes or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I see it oftentimes when I go to Tier Pop, I see the...
Other people's unit officers,
I see
right.
state troopers' uniforms in there.
And that's
I see
state.
things being done.
and that's a state contract, so I mean, if there's a state contract out there for cleaning, why are we doing it? Well,
Janelle actually comes here to municipal building and fixes things.
Very
up
nice,
and
very
delivers-
nice. But
delivers
we
the-
could also have our officers drop them off on their way home and pick them up, if that's what Tier Pop wants. Let's see what the costs are.
yeah, Tier Park has these little green bags with your name on it, and you can put it, I do it, it has my name and address, and I put my coupons in it, and I just drop it, I walk in and they don't say hello, I just throw it on the floor, and they go, okay, see ya, and then I go back in and pick it up. So I mean, how hard is it?
And that's what state troopers do. I see all their uniforms there.
And they're passing that unit anyway, so we could talk about that.
You said 10,000.
Here, it says 19, no, what's this, uniforms and duty and equipment, is this purchases of uniforms?
Must be.
It's gotta be
That
purchased.
would be new uniforms, that would be their batons, or their new,
That's every, I mean, they can't be,
holsters and,
every year.
Every year, and holster,
well, yeah, that would be like all their other stuff as well, like when they get new like duty boots, or the holsters, there was a lot of holsters that were bought in 2013. I don't know if...
Do holsters wear out?
I don't know. My holster doesn't.
That's what I'm saying, is my
But I
holster
don't use it
doesn't...
every day.
But we haven't changed our service weapon. The only time a holster would change is if the service weapon size changes. Right.
We
I
gotta
don't know
cut
if the
this.
snaps wear out, or if
Yeah.
there's an extra clip on
That's
them.
fine.
okay, can
Yeah.
you
Can we look
run
at that?
out a detail on this 9,000?
What was that next?
The actual.
Yeah, do you want me to do that right now? or-
That'd be,
Just
That-
write
that'll
on
be
your
in the
list
Senate.
and just, write on your list and send it to us, so we know what this 9,000 is, so we
I'll
can
have-
make some decisions.
All right.
Just so y'all know, I'll have a whole entire budget, everything that was spent last year, the
Awesome.
detail.
Sweet.
Just a note, 2012 actual for police is 100 grand less than 2014 budget.
We could take a $30,000 off for the safe and secure, but I don't have a copy of that.
Of that
actual
grant,
award.
right.
Yeah,
Are we
so-
not seeing something?
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying,
that's
do you
like a
have all the
10%.
grants that are like the safe and secure and the
Body
school,
armor.
yeah, there's a whole bunch of,
Because we talked-
the DUI.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We didn't
they-
touch those
Drive
in that
safe.
list that we gave to Morris.
Right, well, they should be spending it. I do remind them that, you know, there's money in body armor, we got more money in body armor. That's a year behind if we don't put it in the budget, but they haven't bought vests for quite a while.
Is that a use it or lose it?
No, not at all, no,
It
they
keeps
stay there.
building.
There was an increase of $67,000 between the 2013 actual and 2012 in 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 10% increase.
Oh, my God, yeah.
I'm just looking at the number, I'm like, what
Well, here's the
the
truth, when we took office, when we did that across-the-boards cut, the 15%, they went from a budgeted 932 to an actual of 916 and functioned without loss of service.
Exactly, that's when you and I sat down with
Right.
them and said,
Right.
Right,
tap is on.
right.
How do we get back to that?
We have to cut.
We need,
I mean, take that number and
We have to cut.
add 3%, you know,
it's
and then have them figure it out.
I just don't know where it lies with the increase, you know what I'm saying,
Well,
the
I
increase.
think looking at this, some of this stuff is a good thing so that we could, kind of justify some, but there may
Right.
be, in effect, an absolute need to make a deeper cut, whether it be
We budgeted,
half of a police officer
And
or
look at it.
something else.
look at the budgeted of just equipment maintenance of 33,000 in 2012 and the actual being 7,400. And then the budgeted 7, and it's staying flat at that number. I don't know what that budgeted number was.
All right, Lorraine's going to give us a detail on the police department here.
Yeah, and I think this goes to the, some of the concerns that I had expressed last year in terms of all of the increases, and I think Jim's point is, we allocated 930, or Tom's point, we allocated 930 in 2012, and everybody was saying the sky was falling because we cut by 15%.
Right.
And after we cut 15% and allocated 930,
Right.
they spent 916. And in response of that business reality, last year's budget, knowing that they spent less than what was allocated,
Yeah, right. They backed it
budgeted
back
them
up to
almost $1
$991.
million. There was a needless
Another
and
$60,000.
unjustified increase of almost $67,000
Well, we have to...
for no reason.
We have to consider one thing that is not, I don't
Right.
believe is in these numbers. In this 2014 is not the contract. Contract increases are not in here.
I haven't seen a contract, so no. There's
I see an
steps.
increase in
There's
the,
a couple
There's
of,
a steps that have moved up and a couple of folks who have higher, out, but
Right.
there's also, we know that there's not the officer that to replace, and we also know that there's one that may replace, and we also, we have to take all that into consideration.
Right, there's a lot of scenarios
The fact of the matter is that regardless of the differences, contracts are going up, we have to put a freeze on what's going on and/or look at some sort of reduction, because this cannot,
It can't
it
continue.
cannot drive the majority of our budget more than 50%. And it's looking that way.
that, yeah, I have a number.
if we can get a firm handle on the safe and secure, if we have an actual award of that, that's 30,000 that can come
Right.
out of here.
Ask him if he got it.
Yep.
And he just
Add that on your
hasn't
list of-
made that to you. Go ahead, Jim.
No, I don't want you have other items here, Tom. Did you cover them? Because-
No.
Okay.
All right, let's get through
All
that.
right,
I mean, let's go back. Are we gonna go line item for line item and whack certain things that I have questions
Let
on?
me just show you one thing here in this budget. In 2012, remember that overtime? And we sat down with the chief, and now that's disappeared in 2012 actual. We don't have a number in there, Lorraine?
I probably didn't just break it out. I'm sure I
Okay.
can find it.
Right.
All right, because... if
We
you
capped it
notice-
at 100.
Right, we
We
capped it.
at 100.
Right,
Now it's
And
up.
in 2013, it went to 83, but yet we're back up to 100.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that
Right.
in itself is a number we have to read.
Well, that's a number that we should probably cut in half, moving forward.
Rich did estimate that since there is one less police officer, that there would be a greater need for...
Covered
Right.
for
Yeah, let's
the
keep that in mind when
vacations,
we do our budget.
the vacations and things like that, and
Right.
call-outs, right.
Yeah, so I just want to add to that, with the 2% cap that we have,
I'm just thinking about where they buy their uniforms.
Guys, let's stay on line.
Let him finish.
Okay, we good?
Can't happen.
What can happen?
Hey.
Let Tom finish, then he can go.
Okay, all right. go ahead.
Tom, go through your line items.
I'm sorry.
So the what?
So what I was going to conclude, okay, we have a 2% cap at the state level, okay? If you look at what we spent in 2012, okay, and you apply that 2% cap, you come up with 953, for 2013 and 2014. Okay? So I just want to put that out there as a
But would you
gauge.
have to add 2% from the 213 for 14?
I did it twice, yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Understood. So that's how you get to 953 for now.
Right,
You
yeah.
you did 2 years' worth. Got it.
Right.
Okay, right.
Okay, thank you.
Got it.
All right, so you're looking into the safe and secure, right, in your line item, all right? Matron call-out, this thing, for years, we've had it budgeted, and we have no actuals. So to me, what that looks like, we don't need it. We haven't had any matron call-out duties happen at all. So if we would need it, I would think we could get it somewhere else, or shared service it to Phillipsburg, or Alpha, or somebody who can perform this duty that doesn't happen.
But there's nothing in the line item for this year's budget.
That's my feeling.
Right.
Because when I report payroll, it's the contractual amount, which is everyone's set salary, and then everything else gets lumped into the overtime amount.
Here's
So
the overtime.
the call-outs, when they are used, are included in the 83,000 of overtime from last year.
Right, okay,
It's not a large
right.
expense,
Deal with it.
so I just don't break it out in the payroll reporting.
Okay, so we're leaving it as a zero,
So you're
as
making
no line
100
item.
and using the matron call-out for the 100, and Tom is going to find out if the matron call-out is actually a necessity. I think that's something we talked to Tadeo about, and if it is, maybe it's a shared service.
Right.
Well, I want to know the incidents. How many incidents do we have? Wherever it's budgeted, we pay a fee for
There's
it.
not a ton, it's not like there's one every week, I think it's just when there's a female prisoner.
Right,
Yeah, they don't actually need that anymore. We'll figure it out.
right, okay.
I can't imagine that they would.
That's it, so. And then we have I give you the maintenance items on the vehicles.
Right, and I'll break that out for vehicle
Right.
maintenance versus the lease. So once I get the copies of the lease, I'll put just the amount that we'll have to pay in 2014
Right.
and balance it out with the maintenance.
And can you
Right.
tell us what the balances are from each of the leases that are still outstanding, so that we know what we're doing?
Yeah. I mean, in my mind, I think we need to move from an inventory to about 4.
Well, no, you need two you need more than
I
that.
think you need-
Backups, and you need a backup to
I think you
the...
need that. But 2 have to be four-wheel drive, right? Tom?
Right. All right, so then, jump down, we can apply a general percentage to most of the line items, but the other one was cell phones, you have 0, but there's air cards that we're at
I remember the
7
airport.
times 265.93 a month.
And if we go down to,
Somewhere else, is it in some other line?
That's what I'm trying to find out. There's 7 air cards that, we just renegotiated it, we were at,
Okay, can I change that category from cell phones to air cards?
Yes.
All the cell phones are now with phones and utilities. Not sewer utility, but in a utility portion.
That's
Can
it.
so I worked
I
with,
call that air cards?
yeah, I worked with Chief, Sprint, we used to have, 8 air cards, and we were paying $382.43 a month, for 8 units. Now, we've dropped a unit, and it was renegotiated down to, we're at 7 units at $265.93.
What do they actually do?
it's for their
The
computers on the
computer,
car.
So if you have less cars, you would have less cars.
That's what I was
Right.
going to say, so we have
Right.
265.93 times 7, but if we go to 5 cards, it would be 265.93 times 5.
Right. There's, I'm trying to get a quote for, a mobile data terminal. One of the cars doesn't have one, so I'm not sure. But for eliminating cars, we move one over.
Did you look at the, video, the, scanner? The scanner for the license plate?
Not yet, no, yeah. And then,
That was something we talked about.
that was something, Chief, I think Chief was gonna get a quote on that, but I guess I'll try to,
Why aren't these capital?
that's a capital. I would think,
No,
the
you're-
license plate scanner, wouldn't that be a capital?
Yeah, the license plate scanner would definitely be
Yeah.
Like
capital.
spike
What about the
scanner?
cars?
What about
No,
the
cars,
Cars.
a police car is not, a police SUV is.
Yes, that's
But there's also a distinction between lease versus purchase.
purchase, right,
Correct.
right.
And the technology for the cars, the computers that go into the cars?
Those are the MDTs, those are the mobile data terminals.
All right, the MDTs,
Right.
how much do they cost?
That's what I'm trying to get. He wants to go to a tablet form, which I haven't gotten a quote yet, so.
Okay, would these MDTs,
Most computers are not considered capital because they have a life expectancy of 5 years or less. A server is, but I don't know the life expectancy of
these MDPs.
MDTs.
Yeah, so if we can get that into a capital category, we can stand that a couple of years versus hitting everything in one budget year.
Which is what we're trying to do in a lot of...
And maybe we need to look at the police vehicles under the same thing in terms of if you lease it and it can't be capital and you have to take the hit at once, I don't know if there would be a financial benefit to purchasing so that we can put it into a capital improvement.
Right.
Do it over, I don't know.
Right, there's creative financing that can be done there.
We need to think about that as do we want to purchase so that we have that flexibility? Or maybe you tell me, Joe, it doesn't matter because I don't know. It just, we should probably have a conversation about the pros and cons of leasing versus purchasing. And
I agree with that, because I know that's it changed while I was...
I don't have an answer to
And
that.
just keep in mind on your-
There's obviously differences. Even if we can identify what the benefits and detriments of each are, then we can collectively have a conversation as to, but I don't know that we're going to be able to have a conversation if we're going to be introducing this budget on Thursday. So that's the other thing. I mean, I guess we're going to have to just task you
But
and Jim to do it.
We have done introduction by title only and have come back with a more cognizant, firm
Okay.
on the second.
Fair enough.
We have. So we can, between now and
Okay.
the 24th of April, we can have the Senator fine and have another look at it on the 5th, and on the 3rd, just so that we're all in. You hear me? So even if we introduce on the 20th, we can relook at it on the 3rd and then introduce, and then have the second reading on the...
Okay.
Right.
Okay?
Gotcha. Anything else, Tom?
Yeah, Carson, and then one question was replacing equipment, the printers that they need in order to print out all the stuff. They wanted to know whether or not it was cost-effective to go purchase better printers, because they've been buying these cheap little cheesy printers that last so long, and they're throwaways. You don't get them repaired, you chuck them. So you got a couple downstairs in a closet that are dead. You know, do we go and purchase them, or do we get on this type of, the chief wanted to ask, do we get on this lease that we have here, do we get involved in that on a volume percentage thing? Do we get a code for police, or do we just get another one where they come and maintain it, take care of it, and it's leased, instead of keep buying these printers and keep throwing them away?
You do have copiers downstairs that's used. They can print full too. It literally was just delivered. way
The
back
trailer.
then.
Right.
We're talking about the
Yeah.
trailer.
Do we just replace it, or
I would just do the cheap ones and just replace
just keep doing it, right, just repurchase,
I would not
right?
do another lease. You
And
have
then-
one
and
of the
that's-
lease downstairs
Right.
ready.
I mean, that brings up the other issue about having
Yeah.
them separate in two different locations.
We have to deal with that eventually.
All right, so I'll just, what I'm gonna do is I wanna put a decent dollar amount in there, because I'm really tired of buying these $99, $129 printers for this thing, they just don't last. I got one.
So buy a $250 one.
And that's what I said, buy a $300 to $500 one and beef it up and go laser or something like that. All
I
right,
just
so,
don't even know that they understand the full potential of it. And so even sometimes here, folks don't understand, so it's a training process, and we don't know if we want to get into that part of the training process just yet, but buy what you think is,
yeah, all right.
just put a number in there, honey.
Well, they have office supplies, they have a line item, so they
Yeah.
purchase.
And
But I don't want you to go
it's a
clip
high
it by-
number. It's a high number for
Right.
office supplies,
It is.
$3,000?
It
Not
is.
even Kim's number's that high.
Right. That's my
I know
point.
that they bought
So,
laptops.
but I'm
last
looking at
year.
an actual of 4,300 from 2012, and an actual of 3,250 in 2013, so there's gotta be some sort of larger purchases somewhere in there
Okay, so
knocking these numbers up,
We've
so.
asked her to give us a complete rundown of
If I see
everything
the
that's in
detail, I
here,
just wanna, I
detail.
wanna flag the outliers.
Yes.
You know, so we blipped one up for a major purchase, we line it out and then average it and say, okay, now that's the budget.
And that's why I asked her
Right.
for the full details for you to review. Okay, Sarah?
Sweet, sweet,
Okay, what else you got?
that's all I got. That's
I
it,
earned $18.90 for the air cards.
For 5?
7.
I put 7 in.
I would put 5,
Put 5,
because we're not gonna keep 7 vehicles, no way.
especially if we're getting a new one.
Yeah,
Okay, so
it's-
it's $13.50.
Okay. And if we need one more, we'll just...
Yeah, exactly. Under miscellaneous with that.
Yeah. My eye is twitching. All right. No fire stuff, Tom?
I did make one change from the last set of paperwork that I gave you. I previously had, under the fire regular OE line item, the normal appropriation, which I think is 75, just off the top of my head.
The normal, the general, large appropriation?
Yeah.
What we donate to them?
Yeah, it was 75. I had added in there the amount required for the fire truck. I did separate that down to capital.
What,
The lease payment for the fire truck.
the lease payment went into the fire truck, went into capital?
Yes, right. So that line item now is reduced back down to 75.
And how much is that lease payment?
I think it's 27.
27K?
Yeah, let me just scroll down.
And how many years is that, 5, 7, 10?
Yeah, this is just the first year.
I know, but what's the length of that?
He's saying that the new
Fine.
cars, the new police cars are 25 grand.
I didn't remember, I thought we were going to 10 and they gave us 7.
That's cheap, you know.
I was in the cheap seats then, I don't,
Sorry, not cheap seats, not
I
something.
think it is, I think you're right. I think it is 7.
okay.
I'm sorry, I think I just had to come out of my head.
Okay. Okay.
47.5 was the payment for 2014.
47.5, not 27.
Right, 47.5.
For
So
what?
that was
That's
previously,
for the fire truck.
that was previously in the aid to fire company. I thought it would be good if you saw exactly how much that was costing. But I don't want to lose the benefit, I don't want the town to lose the benefit of having that factored outside the cap in capital. So I
Okay,
did move that down to the regular jet payment.
okay. Wow.
Jim made a mistake, I think. He did 2% from this, but he should have done it from this. This is contractual.
See, but you want actual.
But I know, but that's including equipment. He's getting 2% increases
Oh,
on
okay.
all of this.
Why
Jim,
are we at, Jesus.
Yeah, you're right, though.
your 2% number on police, I think, is incorrect. You used the 916 number, and you added 2%, but that's the total operating budget, which includes things like overtime and postage and uniform and cleaning.
It should be even
It
lower.
should be even low. In other words, we should be looking at the 826,
Okay.
which is contractual, and then the 850. So give me that number in terms of what the 2% increase for contractual.
On 826.
Right.
Yeah.
Because 826 was, and so then, or we could look at what was, or you could just do the 861, or 861 was what was spent in 2013.
I'll
So
give you
just,
861,
yeah, so just give me 2% of that. Is it 883?
895.
Okay. Well, we have listed under the proposed 883, so that's wrong. So, unless it really isn't 2%. You have in the 2014 budget, Lorraine, under contractual, 883.
Is this for police?
Yes. From 861. How did you, is that an actual number?
Doesn't have any increase.
Okay. And that would be reflective of any contractual increases?
I haven't seen the contracts.
Just the rollovers, the ones who go a step up. That's
Yeah.
all she has, but... she
Well, we
doesn't
haven't
have-
negotiated a new
Right,
contract yet, so,
exactly.
but anything that we would be legally obligated to pay an increase for this year, setting aside any future negotiation, is reflected in that number.
It should be, yes.
Okay, so then we just go with that number.
Yeah.
So what is the number that goes...
It's 883,025. So in other words, Jim's point of 953
Was based on 916.
was based on 916, you don't do it that way. So
No, I
the 883,025 is a number that we can't touch.
Right.
Because it's contractual. So if we need to make a savings in the police budget, we have to look at like line items like secretary, like overtime,
Agreed, but
all of these other numbers.
There's one number you can't
you
cut.
put the 2% into the 883 for the contracts that are being proposed.
No, we don't.
You don't?
We could simply budget, we can make a decision now whether we would want to give an increase in this year's budget or in our negotiations. We can simply say that we've
Right.
anticipated, and my recommendation would be
Anticipated in how much?
that we actually proactively plan for a 0% increase in this year's budget.
Okay.
And as we negotiate, any increases would be after this year.
Got it.
And then when we're in negotiation, when we'd like an increase this year, we've already budgeted this year. It's not even up for discussion because we didn't make allowances for it.
Okay, good.
Because we are too tight in terms of having to correct last year.
Got it, okay. Got it.
So I think we just leave that alone, and I think we have to, this represents roughly 20-some% of our overall budget, and...
What is the percentage? I thought it was higher than 20-some%. I thought it was more close to 30%.
Total appropriation?
Yeah, against the police budget of 1 million.
It's like 25%.
I said 20-some%.
I thought it was closer to 30%.
No, can't be that high.
So 4 million, was it?
4102 is the total appropriation.
Yeah, 24.75.
Yeah, it's about 25%. So, I mean, we have a quarter of our overall budget is from this one section right here, and we have a significant delta that we have to address, and we have to focus on this area to make some significant and some substantial headway, or we're not going to get it done. This is where we need to focus, in my opinion.
Okay, I agree.
And I think we need to look at the overtime line item, we need to look at the support line item, we need to look at the uniform, everything. We have to go down here, and we really need to roll up our sleeves now.
So I would
Storage?
suggest that not only do you roll up with the sleeves with this department,
Every department.
also the road department.
Mhm.
We need to get
Absolutely.
it. So we need to really, I mean, the other stuff we can run through, but the same way...
And then we have.
Lorraine is running, the way Lorraine is running
Yeah, yeah.
the reports for the police department, can you run the reports as well for the road department?
Yeah, I did the whole entire budget.
Yeah,
Right.
and we are doing it, and we've done it for Kim and for our operation here, but
Right.
when you cut 50% in those operations,
Right.
a 50% cut may only realize $500.
$500.
Right?
Right,
So, I mean, it's like we're doing, we're doing it, but in order to make headway, we have to
every
focus
small
here.
part-
Looks at these two
Right.
But it all adds up. When you
So
do
Joe,
500, 500.
are you proposing some numbers for the contractual portion of police at this point?
No, I'm saying we can't. So I'm saying the 883,025 is a sacred number that we can't touch because we're contractually obligated. So we move on to other line items, and that's where we will have the flexibility to make adjustments. We can't do it in the 883. The best we could do is we can commit to a negotiation with the police on a new contract that takes a 0% increase
This year.
this
Right,
year.
that's right.
And that we give them increases in
Subsequent
following
years,
years,
right.
subsequent years.
Right.
Like we did with DPW.
Well, is overtime committed to?
No.
No.
Overtime is a number
That's a slush
In
fund.
flux right now.
and, given some discussions, that,
Yeah, so what you got is salary in terms of 883, 35, and 100, and then 67 grand is all the other expenses.
correct.
So do we, at this time, want to,
I think between the 100 and the 35 under secretary and overtime, in my opinion, I think we need to look at both of those numbers, and in my opinion, we need to come up with at least a $70,000 savings between those two numbers. At least. I mean, we need to really move the needle if we're going to get this budget done.
are we proposing that today, or are we going to propose that
We're
for...
going to look at the actual...
The details.
the
Detail.
and then
Okay.
come out by next Thursday with something that's more realistic,
Okay.
and then do that as an introduction.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we go to, page 5, Andrew Road?
Yeah, because again, here, first aid and all the other stuff
You
is,
have to wait on.
we have to wait on that.
I'm gonna go down to Morris County co-op fee, and in this as a line item. Did you just remove it and take it out and put it somewhere else?
It was an administration,
Okay.
so it's out of administration.
Got it.
Okay.
So we could just
Out of
put,
administration now, and it will be under here?
no.
No,
You
you
guys
have
don't want to join it at all.
Right. So what she's saying is she had to move it somewhere else, and she took our request to remove it in another area of the
Okay,
budget.
so
is
you want
that-
to, do you want to put in Warren County co-op and then put 0 so that we know that it doesn't cost us anything, so that we know,
If you want,
just so that there's something there for future folks to know that we are in a co-op somewhere?
Oh, that's a good
That's
idea.
never really understood.
That's a good idea, just for historical purposes,
Exactly.
moving forward for future
And then
township
And
committees.
then it's 0 in there so that we know that they don't charge us anything.
okay.
In their own way, they don't charge us anything, they do in taxes.
Right.
Okay. This is going to be the same thing as what we just discussed with the police department? And getting all the historical data
Yeah.
and reviewing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Where was that $12,000 that we have set aside for the salt coming in?
There was 12,000 from prior, 10,000 was set in from
Lorraine, get a copy of this.
2012. So we had 22 available, and that's a trust that won't show in your current budget.
Okay.
That shows under other trust.
Would we be able to sample, will we be able to utilize some of that, since we know that there's a great amount of money there?
We have, we had, as I said, 12, I think, showed on that one report. 10,000 was just transferred in from 2012 reserves. So there was 22 available. I think this year we've spent, 6,000 to 8,000 of it.
6,000 to 8,000 of the 22.
Correct.
So we have a number here called 31,000.
Yes.
So how does that impact that particular number?
In the past, I believe the budget sense thought process was put as much as you think you're going to need in the year, and whatever you don't need gets sent over to that reserve to save for a snowy day. This year was our snowy year, so we've taken money out and actually spent some of that trust money, but I don't think the intent originally was to reduce your budget and rely on that reserve. I think it was to build that reserve up so that it's
And that's
there
fair
when
something.
you
So,
need it.
answer me this, instead of putting 31,000 in, can we utilize the actual number spent to date in 2014 and then add a little bit? And would it come to less than 31,000?
Probably. I'll tell you how much we spent so far.
Yeah, we had 11,000, I think, for January alone, I thought.
Yeah, I think,
I hear you.
I was telling Elaine, 6 to 8 of that came out of the local trust.
Got it.
Because there wasn't enough money in the temporary budget to pay for it.
Got it.
Done. But I found something for you for services.
See what I mean? Just use what we spend, you want to put a little away for
Yeah,
rainy
we need to put a little way for, we need to put some way for a rainy
Yeah,
day.
put a little something in there for yourself.
Put a little something.
and something. Okay, Kim's line items of public and grant.
So far in our current fund budget, we spent $7,350.
And the rest we tapped from the rainy day.
Which was only 6,000, you said, just
Anywhere between 6 to 8.
Okay, so 8,000, so that's 15 grand.
So if we put the 6 back that we borrowed from the rainy day,
There could be some that they've ordered already to fill up the shed that hasn't come in, because there is quite a
I saw a number.
I see. So in other words, there could be another bill out there that we don't know about.
that just has not come in
Okay,
yet.
all right, okay.
So if we put 25K in there,
Yes.
and then whatever's left over, yeah, go back to what the numbers were in 2012, 25K.
Okay, and that should cover whatever the new bill is,
Yeah.
and at least put some back that we tapped from the rainy day.
Yeah.
So we go to 25, so that's a $6,000 savings
Okay,
there.
I don't see John Howell's cell phone in here.
That's under the phone in the utility portion.
Okay. What's miscellaneous? I guess we'll figure that out when we do that.
It's a bunch of different things.
You missed the gesticulation that went around with it.
They can't necessarily be combined together.
He all but gave you a Z snap.
Snap. Okay.
I said it with straight face.
I'm sure he did.
Did you get a copy of this?
Yes, Joe gave me one.
Can you take a look at those actuals for me and verify them?
Around $51,000.
Do you want me to do that right now?
No, just send me an email, just be like, yeah, they're on the money.
Well, yeah, in fact, there's actually a reduction of what the actual
I'm pretty much sure I signed all those bills, but I didn't.
I'm looking at 12, we
Okay.
spent 45.5. You want to still say we're 51.8?
Where do you see that?
Buildings and grounds, go to 45.5, go to actual and 12. Right there.
Yeah, that was budgeted, the actual was 62.
Oh, I'm looking,
Bring it up.
The actual in 13 was 60. We're budgeted 51.
Okay.
We're going down, I don't think we have any room.
Let me ask a question. May I interject at this point?
You're gonna anyway, so go ahead.
I figure it's done to me, I might as well touche you guys. Jimmy and Tommy,
Jimmy briefed me on this last week.
they briefed me on some stuff. Is there anything in the police contract that doesn't allow us to get temporary assistance for special events or things from a security firm, meaning that we don't need police officer work, but security? Are we not allowed to have that?
That's a Frank Tadeo question.
And it's...
Being like, you know, if we were to have an event where we required just, I don't know, community day or events or parades or traffic, or are we allowed to hire temporary workers from a firm, say a security firm or something, where it doesn't require an armed guard or somebody who needs to arrest anybody, but someone who would be a
We've actually
deterrent?
used fire police,
Right.
and they're volunteers in years ago, Community Day.
Do we have a fire? We're still active fire police, right? Yeah, those guys are still active.
That's who we used, and there would be one police officer on who...
Okay. Right. But, you know, also when I think of the school stuff, you know, lately we've had lockdowns at the school, and there's a policy of keeping the doors locked at all times and things like that. If we had volunteers at the doors there instead of I know that the guys, when they're not doing it, they're parked in front of the school for presents and whatnot. I just don't know whether or not we wanted to take a look at that.
I think it's a good idea, so at least we understand, or we have something in our back pocket.
Right. I want to know what the constraints are contractually.
Community Day, the police explorers over at the tech, you can get them actually at no charge.
Right.
To come, and then the police would,
Work with them.
Tell them to work with them, and,
This is Police Explorers? What, I didn't understand what.
Explorer program.
explore program.
What's the average age group of the Explorer unit? 18 to 20?
Actually, they won't do it unless they're seniors. That's the problem I had with the Community Day.
In high school?
Couldn't get-
So it's 18 is minimum average age, you know, it's
Yeah.
college, it goes to college unit, right? That's what I remember.
And they couldn't get seniors to do it, so, I couldn't get them. But, the Rotary's had them come to events.
Okay.
So it's an option.
Right. Yes, it is. Good eyeball, Jimmy.
Yeah, I didn't know if you needed
Yeah.
permission to go ahead and look into it or anything like that.
I don't think so. I'd like to.
The indication I'm getting is probably not.
Well, and we're in the status of the contract? Is that the-
Well, that's
Right,
correct. It's an issue of that. Correct.
Right, absolutely.
Correct. But he'll review, but the preliminary is,
Okay, good.
but we can keep that in mind for future contracts.
I want to see the grounds and stuff, I want to still see that.
I did the whole entire budget.
Okay.
From administration.
So, what else is there?
$100.
Understood.
You guys got anything else for me?
Before Tom goes, I don't know if I need a motion or not.
Motion.
It
Randy?
was for the tax collector.
What is, Did we do Parks and Recreation, Tom, for you?
No, we skipped it. Yeah.
Do you want to go back to the beginning and go to department by department? Where we left off?
Yeah, we just trying to get him out of here. No offense.
No, I know.
Okay,
Parks and Rec,
Do you have anything?
I think that's the last
the
one.
insurance we were working on, right? Under
Yes.
Parks and Rec. Eileen?
Yes, we were in insurance working on it, however, we're still at a standstill on what's going on with Wilkes-Barre. You don't understand that. There's been no information from
Mark.
Clerk that she can dig up or find or anything about...
I'll get on the phone with Mark
Please.
today, and I know I sent an email request out saying, you know, I need to understand the nature and the detail of everything you have going
Right,
on.
and Kim Hess doesn't have anything that she actually gave a certificate of insurance for any of this, Tom. So it needs to be done if we're actually using it. We have to talk to the insurance company to have it done. And I'm just concerned that some people think we do it, and we haven't been doing it. And what's the agreement with Bloomsbury?
Right. I just think there's some very old,
Yeah, it's
Good old
there's a
boy
shift in
agreements.
hands, and that's all.
yeah, and I want to get rid of
And
those.
all we need to do is we need
Because
to
it's
get
just a
hurt,
risk-
and then
it's a-
then
it's
there's
a
big
liability.
risk. Absolutely. And if one person thinks we're doing something and we're not, and we,
Right,
it's
right.
just, it's stupid. But, you know, I'm looking to fix it, not create another...
The only other thing I had was animal control, and that's pretty much her salary that they put in for last year.
Is that her salary?
Yeah.
Salary.
He did an increase, they
Yeah.
did an increase last year.
Well, wait a minute. Where are you?
Animal control,
control.
on page 6.
No, 4,200, and there's a 6,000
Yeah.
increase now.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
It went
not
from-
last
So why did that go up?
There was a
Because,
salary
yeah, they did,
increase
that's what I'm saying, is they made it for January 1, I thought.
They can't
No.
do that. They
No.
can't.
No, it
What was it?
was effective last
It
year.
was effective last year, right?
Why is
I'm
it
sorry,
Where-
I'm just trying to get to animal control, sorry.
Oh, no, 240, 250, yeah, because the budget and the actuals are,
Last year's budget gave her a raise.
But
Right.
Gave everybody a
It was
raise
paid out
last
of
year.
the salary and wage adjustment.
right.
Everything went up
what does
last
that
year.
mean?
There was a line item to leave an allowance for any increases that would be given for salaries and wages.
There was a special line item dedicated for increases in salary and wages from last year's budget. And
Yeah,
it wasn't specific to a department?
No.
yeah.
How did that happen?
No, they had an increase, they had that sheet of paper with all the salaries that they proposed.
The salary ordinance?
Salary ordinance, and there were increases on the salary ordinance. That's how they did it.
There was a line item right above municipal court, between celebration of public events and municipal court, below parks. The salary and wage adjustment line item was $9,000 in last year's budget. And that was for salary and wage adjustments that were determined after the budget was adopted. So the animal control officer's increase came out of there, emergency
Management, right.
came out of there.
Comex is increased for,
So if we look at the salary ordinance, what does it read for animal control?
$6,000.
Okay, so can you take this line item of salary wage adjustments here and tell us which of these folks,
Yeah, where that actually...
where that actually occurred?
Yeah, because what it does is, yeah, for a resident who came and looked at the budget, they would think last year gave no raise, and we were engaging in giving an increase.
Right.
And that's part
Right.
of the lack of transparency of last year. We need to kind of,
Show where
we
it's
gotta
all.
show that it was last year's budget
Right.
that saddled us with the increases, not
Right.
us. We're
Right.
trying to take corrective action and spending
Right.
less. This gives a false appearance that we increased it from 4,250 to 6,000,
Right, and
which
that's
we
not-
didn't.
that's-
Well, and that's why I'm looking at that line item saying, looking at it saying, where does that say that? It's
Yeah.
not actually
Right.
spent, but
All right, yeah, I can
this
do that.
$9,000 needs to be turned around and fixed out where the increases actually were. Okay.
This is a 41% increase. What is it that we're getting
It was,
for that 41, what
I
service,
remember the
what increase in
argument.
service are we getting?
I can remember exactly what the mayor
saying she
said last
compared
year.
it to all the other, she came in and wanted
If
it.
she's overdue, And it's just time for a raise.
It's just time for a raise.
No, and it was also coupled with that she had demanded, or came in and said she had compared herself, requested the increase based on what local municipalities near us are
You know what?
making, and
Here's
there
the
hadn't been an
issue.
increase in 5
In
years.
answer to your question, there was no discussion about what increased services the taxpayers, the residents would get for the increase. There
And
was
I'm
no
going to say
discussion
to
on
you
that.
what I said to the police in the past and what I've said to other departments. We do not compare ourselves to what other people are making. You
Right.
choose to work in Greenwich, we have a salary, here it is. Stop looking at what other people make. They are in a different category, most of them are civil service, we are not.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you want to work in Greenwich, this is the number.
Right, and that's why our
You know-
taxes are lower than other municipalities.
And I'm just concerned because of the precedent setting that this has in terms of all the other workers here.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
Well,
how do we just, and what can we do, what should we be doing in terms of the salary? I want to make a change.
Yeah, because local elected officials in local are making so much more than we are.
and doing much less.
And their taxes are going up accordingly.
And it's a good, look, Jim, Tom and I tried last year.
Yeah,
We were,
we did.
we voiced our concerns, we were not heard, we were dismissed, and
Oh, I understand.
it was,
It just rolled out
there was a rush to increase. It was a $550,000 increase in 1 year. I mean, that's
Do
just...
we undo those changes this
We
year?
have to talk to Frank.
We have
Yeah, talk to Frank.
That's, yeah.
I think we should be looking into that. Go ahead, Lynn.
The ACO did take over the animal licensing in 2012. I think prior to that, it had been taken care of by the clerk's office or
There's actually an animal
An assistant.
control admin system.
Right.
Right. But previously, someone else had physically issued the licenses, taken in all the money and transferred the licenses.
Right,
done
now
all
we're
that,
getting
and
all
so
the
forth.
checks.
The animal control officer now does that.
Right.
No, the animal control officer has been doing that since 2000.
Yeah, we've always been getting the checks in there, even when, in 2012, I had a...
She was required to do that.
I was told in 2012 that Mary Ann used to actually...
Well, if she was, that was unbeknownst to me, because in 2009, that system was bought purposely for the animal control officer
Right.
to do it.
So,
Whether it was just so that they could keep up and the licenses could get out timely, then that means the animal control officer isn't coming in to do it.
we are paying for the animal licensing program.
Yes, we are,
And
Jim.
it is being utilized.
We put that in after we had the problem with the Zacchio bill, remember?
I remember that one. Yep.
With that,
Yep, that was the,
Yeah, I'm aware of that issue.
okay, so we can look into,
yeah.
Frank to give us some guidance on that.
Okay, so let me ask about municipal court.
And maybe shared service.
Absolutely.
In 2014, we had
Flag on
reported
court.
Terry Carey at 12,000. In 13, we had her at 12,000.
Yeah, I got stuff
In
for
12, we had her at 10,189 and 11. So what, how,
Where are you, I'm sorry?
for Dashford Court Municipal Court,
Oh, okay.
Take care, guys.
is this part of this 9,000?
No,
Go ahead, Tom.
no.
We don't have any actual information on that line item. They're all-
I can try and break that out too. The problem, the difficulty in doing that is that the call-outs go to predominantly two different employees. So, to the the administrator, the court administrator,
Uh-huh.
and the deputy court administrator.
Okay.
They traditionally get the call-outs. Every once in a while, the person employed as a recorder will get a call-out.
What does that mean?
They have to meet the police officer and go to the site where the person is.
For
Right.
what?
For a call-out, I think it's to do
Recorder.
the in-house paperwork when someone's arrested.
They call somebody in, they come in and do the paperwork, they sit in his office and they process,
Kind of like central booking, kind of.
they process the rest of the person.
Then what's the secretary line item under police court?
You got me, Selena. I don't know.
Don't
Well, we
we,
know the recorder, Terry Carrick, is a part-time
don't we do
employee.
things electronic now? With the
Can we
ticket?
split that out, call-outs versus
I don't think so. Why
Terry?
don't we do that?
Only because
Look at
I'd
the
like to
criminal
know the difference.
bookings.
I'll try it.
All right.
But I don't understand. So, in other words, we're having a line item so that a court, I just want to understand the process when I see call-out recorder. That $12,000 line item in budget is when a police officer makes arrest on a criminal matter, we're having court personnel come in and act as a secretary to the police department and filling in paperwork?
No, I can't tell you exactly what they do, but it's a court-related
It's a court-related function, it's an AOC function.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they do,
Okay.
so I don't want to misspeak about
okay,
that, but
okay. So
there's a
it-
necessity for someone from the court to do some kind of paperwork.
Okay, so it's on a court-related side where they're doing court paperwork for the AOC and putting into Promise Gavel or whatever database they have for, okay, all right, I just,
And this is the distinction between why the court is very separate from the police department, and they are, you know, how it's really not, they stay separate, they're not really intertwined at all. And this is part of the reason why, right here, the call-outs.
yeah, we need to see the actual numbers, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I just asked.
Okay, so I'm going to separate out between the person that serves as the recorder versus the fees that are paid for call-outs. Okay. Also, there's I'll call it a pay differential that's provided to the court administrator and deputy for when there's a night court.
Yes, that comes into their salary.
Right, that's included in the call-out fee as well.
That's included in their call-out fee for a night court, which,
Yeah.
why wouldn't it just be in the line item for the employee?
That's how it's actually paid. But they don't know, I guess maybe at the beginning of the year, they don't know how many there's going to be or how many they're going to be in attendance for. So
Right, so, okay, so
the way
they
that's
have
paid
12 courts and they actually wind up having 11 courts?
Yeah, the way that it actually goes through payroll, it's treated as an adjustment, because it's not a recurring fee. It doesn't happen every single month.
Got it.
Got it.
So
You can't just follow a court schedule, in other words.
Right, right. So on each timesheet that there is a night court, then there's, say, a $51 adjustment. If there's a call-out, that's, I think, $65. So they're all lumped into the adjustment category of income.
Okay, but you can put Terry as a separate employee.
Yes,
And then
yes.
put the other call-out stuff for the other folks and her that would be doing a night court.
Right.
So Terry's salary would be one, and then the call, okay, great.
And then call-outs and,
All right, that's fine. That makes more sense to me.
Okay.
I'm looking at, we have, meetings in education. We're
Yeah.
budgeted 500, but we've actually spent more than that in the prior year, so we need to have a conversation,
Yeah.
to find out
Is
exactly.
this education, do you know if this education is to meet the requirement of becoming an administrator?
I believe it's not, no.
It's just to keep up their CEUs or
Right,
whatever they need?
CEUs and monthly meetings,
Okay.
and mileage
Because
for
if it's
monthly
not,
meetings.
yeah, if it does have anything to do with, then it would be able to be reduced because being that particular is done.
I think the actual classes were done quite a while ago.
Quite a while ago, I just want to make
So
sure.
we may have to make an adjustment there because it doesn't look like it's enough.
It doesn't look like it's enough. $500 isn't.
We should go to 800.
Yeah, or 1,000.
Would increase that, Lorraine?
Okay. Just the meetings / education.
Yeah.
1,000 or 800, I'm sorry.
I would leave it, go to 1,000 because this miscellaneous number has been reduced and
Yeah. that should be
supplies
enough.
have been reduced and, you know, that, this is just a line item, not, you know, like the court fees, so that if it needed to be moved around a little bit, we can do that.
Saving on the letterhead and things like that.
Exactly.
Kind of things will save.
I think so.
But you
I think so.
definitely need the envelopes.
Yeah,
Right.
but we would get jammed up on the meetings education there, that would,
Yeah, that wouldn't be.
I don't think it would work.
Okay.
The overall budget actually came down $1,400 from 2013 in the 15% that Jim had requested for each.
15% reduction, yeah, okay.
The budget was very tight.
Yeah, they're not here to make money.
No, but it is, I mean,
Your 2014 budget column has the 15% reduction in it.
yeah.
Correct.
not much more we can really do until we take a look at those detailed reports on the two departments,
Yes.
the three departments.
Police and
That needs to be
DPW.
done before Thursday,
Yeah,
so
and then
that we
you'll,
can present something that's
correct,
at least close to what we want.
yep.
We also probably want to look at all of the grants and see how that really impacts what we're looking to do, okay? The New Jersey Clean Energy, which was the one that I asked about, what happens to that?
I just emailed the auditor this week on that. That was the money that, the fire company got for, I want to call it computer equipment on their fire trucks. They physically ordered everything in 2011. Then the bills started coming in 2012. And
We paid them.
We paid them, the bills were paid.
So this
So in
31 belongs in our budget.
Well, in 2013, then the auditor said, well, that's an expenditure without an appropriation, because the grant monies were never physically put in the budget. They were never appropriated as a
Right, okay.
revenue or an expenditure.
Did you know about it?
So, in 2012, I did not know, but the bills started to come in.
Right, so that kind
And
of put up a
they
red
had to
flag.
be paid, yeah, so, there was definitely a red flag about that.
Okay.
But they had to be paid, the merchandise had been received the prior year.
Right,
There was-
right.
Yeah, so in 2013, it was an expenditure without an appropriation. We put the budget in, it was recorded in our actual budget, but we were also hit a second time as an expenditure without an appropriation, so it had to be raised as a deferred charge. So we had to raise it twice, but we'd already spent it. And now the auditor, Bob, is seeing it and saying, hey, you know, you have this extra money sitting here, but we really don't. I did send him that in an email just earlier this week to let him know, you know, that was the whole debacle. I just wanted to kind of jog his memory, because he's the one that first found it
Right.
from the first year, from, well, my first year.
Okay,
2012.
because that was what, page 67 of what I was talking about,
Right.
versus 31,000 Clean
Yeah.
Energy. That it looks like it's just sitting there and nobody's touched it.
Right, it has to be adjusted, the
It
way
has
that
to be
it's
adjusted.
displayed in the
Okay.
paperwork. It's really not there, it's not available for
Okay.
spending.
The only ones I don't see us actually touching is the clean communities and the recycling tonnage. The rest of it may in fact be, I mean, the body armor is what we talked about before, but the other things really should be part of
Anticipating the revenue.
Yeah.
Like we did for,
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Okay, so really, the lion's share of the work is going to be done offline with you and Jim and Lorraine after you get the detail, principally from the DPW department and police department in terms of looking at,
And I think Jim and I will review it, the things that we think may, in fact, and one of us will talk about the police department with their liaison, and the other one will talk about with the DPW with their liaison.
well, I'm the liaison for DPW.
Okay, so you and I will be having that conversation, and Jim and Tom will be having the other conversation, and,
Am I police?
No, I am police
No,
with,
but, oh,
I
with
think I'm
Tom?
police with Tom
I
Warren.
think Tom is a liaison for
Tom.
police.
Tom's liaise, you're
DPW. Yes,
For police.
correct. So
Yes.
Tom should
and
be.
you're liaise for DPW, and you're member.
No.
DP.
No, Tom is, but
Put
we're
it-
gonna...
say it again.
We're gonna split it up, you and I, as finance people, to talk to the liaison, to go over their specific
Gotcha, okay.
budgetary needs for cuts in their departments, so that we're prepared to give it to Lorraine, to have something that's close to what we're gonna adopt.
And just so the record's clear, we're not talking about targeting cuts in those two departments. We're doing it, we've done a 15% across the board,
Right.
Yeah.
and we have made additional cuts in all departments here today, line by line. The balance of police and DPW is being taken offline. It's not
We
that we're
haven't-
focusing on them.
We didn't have detail.
Correct.
Yeah, and let me state it this way. Even though we've started with a 15% reduction, we are nowhere near
Where we need to be.
where we need to be in terms of just simply keeping the tax rate the same.
Mhm.
You know,
Because we have to account for the fact that there are folks out actively getting reductions in their overall retail tax, and that's going to impact us on the retailers.
And I want to make sure that in this budget, and we haven't had a discussion, at least I haven't, I know we've mentioned it, but I just want to make sure this is really checking in with you, Elaine, and you, Jim, that that these numbers that we're looking at contemplate the reduction of the Metarex tax revenue, and that it contemplates and understands the approximate $51,000 Cayman for the fire truck.
Correct.
Okay, those, and I'm looking at Lorraine to see if I forgot anything, but...
let's hit those again.
I'm just looking to make sure that you guys are cognizant of what some obligations that occurred last year that impact this year. And I think it's roughly around 51,000 or so for the fire truck.
47,750.
Oh, 47, okay, so...
So you're right there.
And I thought Metarex was roughly, was it like a $35,000 number? It was not, it was not insignificant.
It was not insignificant.
It was not
At least a
insignificant.
penny, or close to a penny.
Do you recall?
Not exactly, right.
All right, so what I had started off with, okay, at the beginning of the meeting was to discuss the tax, these tax appeals and their impact in the 2014 budget.
That's Metarex.
That is Metarex to the tune of...
Yeah, and that's what Bob Morrison was talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you, Lorraine, said, yeah, we're close in terms of total valuation of the township. It was like plus or minus $4,000. Did that number include the impact from Metarex?
No, that was just from I don't believe so, at least that was information I got from the assessor that is required to be filed with the county in January, that reports your construction from the prior year.
Okay.
Values of added assessments.
Yeah, values of added assessments like decks and things, improvements that have been done, right?
Right.
That has nothing to do with Metarex. It's more of decks and putting things on.
Oh,
So they
yeah.
assessed, it's like $4,000 plus.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with Metarex.
Yeah, Metarex
That's what
worked
Bob
out.
talked about. Yeah.
Okay. And the 40, who is liaised to fire and
Tom.
Tom, and member is me?
I think so. I think that's correct, yes.
I can't swear to it, but okay.
I don't know, but I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's assignments or who's that?
No, that's
All right, so,
my recollection.
so in our, we'll figure that out, Elaine, as to who's talking to who, in there. Okay, so I got police, DPW, tax appeal, fire truck. All right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't think of anything, nothing else jumps out at me, other than we had to deal with the 10% salary increases last year, and then the additional, 350, which we're working on globally in terms of the 15% cuts and additional cuts that we're making, but
Keep in mind, the 15% cut is O&E. It is not...
I understand.
anything else.
I understand that.
That's why we have to look closer at the
yes,
departments.
yep, absolutely, but it's just the fire truck and the tax bill. I can't think of anything else.
Is it a question as to whether the fire truck was in the budget, or what was the question on the fire?
But we were talking about it going into capital and making sure that we knew that in capital, it would be in the capital improvements. So does that change, does that change anything for our introduction coming on Thursday?
No. I actually, I have it under debt now, but that's outside the cap.
Outside the cap. We have to go to Trenton and ask for a waiver for it?
No, definitely not.
Well, I think what you're saying is, because it's outside the cap, what you're saying is, it's not going to impact our discussions on this? Or it is?
Sorry, your discussions on...
Do we have to account for it for purposes of whether or not there's going to be a tax increase in this year's budget? Or are you saying because it's going to be allocated from the line item of the capital expenditures, it's already accounted for in the budget?
It's definitely accounted for in the budget. The outside the cap references that if we had a cap issue where we were close to what the appropriations cap was. This is an
Which is the
exclusion.
2% or the 2.5% or whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, our overall budget is down by, right now, almost $400,000 from 2013, the actual total appropriations. But it's broken out between inside the cap, which is limited to the 2%, and outside the cap.
I got you.
Which is not limited by 2%.
Okay, got it.
Well, we made some significant strides then in terms of reducing the expenditures.
400K.
Yeah.
But that also includes the grants.
Yeah, that's a huge portion of it.
That's half.
Our total appropriations are down
You may think
to
we've done that.
$4,096,000. Compared to our revenues, we would still need to get rid of $114,000 in expenditures. Knowing that we have a potential of $140 from grants coming in,
Right.
we're definitely in the positive now, but we're not at the point where you wanted to be to
Get to be,
take account for.
Right. So we're looking at an additional $114,000 in cuts. Got it.
114 or 144?
114 now.
$114,000, all right, so we went from
2 cents.
133,000 down to 114,000.
Correct, just in the small things that we did today.
Yeah,
And that's not
that's what we
reviewing-
did today.
And
Yeah.
that's not reviewing the two
That's right.
departments, right?
Yep.
So we're.
Okay. At first, it sounded like we did $400,000, and I was like,
No,
No way.
no.
She's talking about overall.
yep, okay.
Yeah, not
But what's left is the 114.
There's
Got it.
still a lot of budgets that we didn't go over at all.
What do you mean,
Departmental. Oh, yeah, we definitely didn't go over sewer, but sewer has no issues.
Do you have some suggestions, or do you want to guide us through a couple of those discussions now?
For sewer or for?
So for anything that
For
we
for
feel,
anything that you've seen?
you said that with departments we didn't go over, so if there's other opportunities,
Yeah.
let's...
Tell us now.
Put it on the table. This is the time.
Well, we left off at, just after finance, we jumped down to go to police to accommodate Tom, so we left off at, tax collection.
Okay, let's,
If
we
we
are on
continue
page...
with the agency as we have been, I don't think that the 40 I have in there for collector is gonna be enough. So,
Yes.
Tell me what page?
We're on page 2.
Okay.
Tax collector, if you want, let me just give a brief update as to where we're at with that. I've met with another agency, similar pricing, retired individuals, 25-plus year experience. They're going to come down here. They just called me, that's why I stepped out. We can have them come in Wednesday, if this is a good time, Wednesday around 10 o'clock. You're here this Wednesday, right? They wanted a few minutes with you, with Sherry. I'll make arrangements to be here and show them what I have from Terry's tenure here, okay? So at least we can incrementally stay afloat until we get something permanent. We'll work out with them what they feel, how much time they can be here. So right now, we see 40 grand in that light item. That's worst case, all right? If we go half the year with them, all right, I don't know, what's been Jersey Professional's total charges so far, do we know?
I can look it up, no, I don't even know how many hours a week it was. It was supposed to be at 8, so that'd be 800 a week.
Yeah, I don't think she realized all that, though. All right.
All right, well,
But for budget purposes, what do you want to do? I mean, that's a big item, and you're saying we need more in there?
Well, depending on how long we continue with that, I mean, that's...
well, we're looking to find a permanent. We're still not at that point yet, but we're looking for so that the gaps do not fall, that we comply with the law,
If we say we got 6 months at that current rate with Terry, and 6 months, then we'll kick into perhaps a $15,000 to $20,000 a year.
But we would have to
individual.
prorate it based on whatever we make that higher.
Yeah.
Well, just for a point of reference, if we stayed at the rate that it was for the prior temp, with 8 hours a week, if that's still the determination, then that would be 41.6 for the entire year. So that 40 would get us comfortably halfway through the year with the temp, and then halfway with the salary of what you estimated for the year, and we'd still have 10,000 left.
Okay.
It's just a question as to how fast you can convert from temp to...
Yes.
to permanent.
Yeah, okay, that's good. So that's a good number then.
So
We can
leave it
keep
there
40 in
at
there, and
that.
that's, okay.
Yeah, that's actually, it's probably high.
Okay, that's,
Well, let's leave it there until we know.
yeah, until we know better. If we know better by the 20th or the 5th or the 3rd or whatever.
Well, I need a motion to advertise, I don't know.
Oh, I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Comment. Roll call.
Okay.
Oh, she's not here.
Yeah,
Can I
discuss.
ask a question?
Yeah.
Would that fall under the professional service exclusion for advertising? Since it's a licensed professional, you need a license to carry it, and you're contracting with an agency as opposed to a direct hire?
Oh, no, I'm looking for a direct hire
They
now.
know that.
Yeah.
They know this is a
We're
temporary
not
situation.
talking about Wednesday. We're talking about, he's talking about a longer-term solution.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you were
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about advertising for the...
No, this
I'm
is
sorry.
prong 2 of the,
This is- yeah, all right,
Yeah, so my approval is going way back to when we did Jersey Professional, now it's just a
Yeah.
different vendor.
Yeah.
I have approval for that,
Yes.
right?
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about re-advertising for another... temp.
No, now it's
Advertising for tax
I
re-advertising
misunderstood.
for a permanent tax collector.
No,
Well, yeah, we'll go over a list. I got a list of things.
Because he called the state.
I called the state. I had Christie on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, so roll call, or we have
Anything for you, Jimmy?
roll call.
Said Jimmy needs a tax collector.
Miliani, Adams,
Yes.
Lori's left,
Yeah.
and...
Yes,
Who made the motion? Randy Dunn?
Yeah.
yeah.
All I heard was roll call.
You kind of figured you needed to be back in the room.
I actually, after I said roll call, and you weren't there to call the roll, I realized you weren't here.
All right, what other ones?
The tax collector's O&E, or Sherry? What other changes do you have in that area?
Really, none. I don't know. I imagine you wouldn't have to pay for education if the...
Well, the only thing is that there may be a point where we need Sherry to have a little bit more education, because, you know, based on the hours that we actually do, we're going to bring her to a certain point, so let's leave education. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
And the supplies, if you look at the historical, well, never mind. I mean, we'll make it work.
We'll make,
We have been trying to order, Sherry and I at least, for tax finance and sewer, some forms in bulk, like our delinquent notices and the actual physical bills and things like that. We've been trying to...
but you don't know if it's broken out appropriately. You don't have to look.
Yeah, no, I think that at least the first bill we got from...
Tadeo?
From Tadeo was put on 100%.
Okay, so you're going to reverse that, right?
Yeah, that would definitely have to be correct.
Okay.
Just so we have a good trail.
Okay, so 34, okay.
The only reason I'm sure that's because Mary Ann just asked about the breakout of it, because I guess it said labor and general municipal, and she wasn't quite sure how to break it out.
Stuff popped up.
Does it pop back up?
No, it's, the video stream just went.
I'm just looking at,
I have to look at it.
I think we can cut 10 out of it. Bring it to 150. What do you think, Jim? If I'm looking at 35 right now, bring it to 140, I would say cut 10 out of legal and bring it to 150. And this is not tax appeals.
No.
This is just labor and municipal.
Did you want general then to come to 131 to bring it to 150?
Okay, so, general,
I don't know. Maybe we should do this. 160 general. I don't know what you got on the hopper with labor. So.
well, I think we've already made some strides to reduce